Going to call it to order, and we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great. Thank you. We have, we'd like to open public comment tonight. Is anybody for public comment? No? All right. Moving along. Recognitions. Anybody?
We've been lucky to attend 2 different back-to-school nights in my household, and they were all beautifully run. My kids were super excited to go, so thank you for all of the events. And I know there's an event happening tonight over at Marathon, so
Very
yay!
exciting. We too went to 2 back-to-school nights, 2 different ones than yourself, and they were equally as engaging.
And discovered we had kids in the same
Yes.
class.
Apparently Nancy and I have children in the same class.
Surprise.
All right. Moving on. Student Council. Mr. Click.
What's going on, guys? Great to be here again. So I have a lot of sports on here, so I'll just kind of talk about those first. So we have our first unified home game tomorrow. The team's great. I'm actually on the team. I actually came from practice today. We're looking really good. Looking to run through the TVL. So, it's very popular. We normally have a big show out. So, if you guys have nothing or if the viewers have nothing.
What time is it tomorrow?
3:45 in the AC. We also had our first home football game 2 weeks ago, and we also had our second away game a week ago. The attendance was really well. The Hillers are doing really strong, and Hillers Grillers was a big success. So they're definitely looking to bump up their production over the next couple of games. Same with girls volleyball and soccer. They're doing really well. I saw somewhere that the girls haven't let up a goal this season, so they're looking very, very good. The field hockey team also just did their Keep Smiling for Abby to honor a student who passed in 2014, which happened last Friday. It was a great show out, and it was raising money for anaphylaxis research. And then some other stuff that I'll just mention that the senior class is really excited for, but we'll talk more about next meeting is Spirit Week is October 10th. Obviously, everyone's excited for it. We don't know exactly what every day is, but we'll find that out soon. Senior Transition Day and the Pep Rally are both on the 17th, so we're definitely looking to, get to those, and we're pretty excited for it. That's all I have for you guys.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. And on to our superintendent's report.
Awesome, excellent, okay. So if I can pull up the slides. Well, good evening, everyone. Nice to see you all. Thank you for coming. We have a nice audience here. Nice job, Ryan. Thank you for kicking us off. So this is the superintendent's report for September 25th. I know we have a pretty full agenda tonight, so I'll provide a pretty brief report covering a variety of topics, but I do want to start by piggybacking on Ryan's presentation and his energy and start with some highlights from across the district. So first, he mentioned it already, but we had the Keep Smiling for Abby field hockey game last Friday in memory of Abby Benford, a former Hopkinton High School field hockey player who passed away from anaphylaxis in the winter of 2013. The annual event honors her memory and raises funds for anaphylaxis research and awareness, and this year's game raised almost $600. The picture there on the right is of the Benford family with the varsity field hockey team. Next, the National Merit Scholarship semifinalists were recently named, and there were 3 semifinalists from Hopkinton High, pictured on the left: Jianing Wang, Lila Harper, and Simret Kukraja. These 3 scored in the top 1% of the PSAT and now have the opportunity to continue in the process to potentially earn merit scholarships this spring, so best of luck to those 3. And lastly, as part of our elementary summer math program, students in grades 1 through 6 had the chance to participate in a variety of math activities designed to keep their problem-solving skills sharp during the summer. Each time a student completed a task, they earned an entry into a raffle to win a gift card at Alltown Fresh. Across the district, winners from each grade were randomly selected. At Hopkins, pictured on the bottom left, there were the students that gathered at an all-school assembly, and they won based on kind of a live wheel spin. So it was very dramatic and very exciting at that event. Kudos to our teachers and leaders like Shelley Moran, our Director of Elementary Math, who's finding creative ways to make math engaging, meaningful, and fun for students even outside of the traditional school year. Next, I'd like to just take a second to thank the Friends of Hopkinton for allowing us to host a table on behalf of the HPS at Family Day. It was wonderful meeting so many families and interacting with our students across the district. I want to thank everyone who stopped by to say hello. The highlights were celebrating second grader Maddie Powers in Miss Marzilli's class, who won our raffle. Maddie received a Hillers t-shirt and a Hopkinton water bottle at Elmwood the following week, and overall it was just a fantastic event and a great way to connect with the community. So thank you to the Friends of Hopkinton. Next, I wanted to share a quick recap of the listening session held this past Sunday evening, focused on the school calendar. I want to thank everyone who took the time to join us on Zoom. We had over 30 community members participate during the hour. The purpose of the session was to create an open forum where people could share their perspectives on the future and current calendar. And that input will then be considered as we look ahead to make any adjustments that might need to be made for future calendars. We'll make that recording available for everyone so they have the opportunity to hear the conversation and follow along with the process. And our next step will be a second listening session here at HCAM Studios at our next school committee meeting on Thursday, October 9th.
Yep, that recording, I believe, and the slides are up on the HPS website already.
Excellent. Next, now that we're a month into the school year, I just wanted to update the community regarding efforts around school safety, which is always a top priority for us. We've taken several proactive steps so far this year. For example, over the summer, each building conducted a safety walk with building administrators, the SROs, as well as central office staff to review protocols, procedures, and to review safety plans. We've also held fire drills and crisis response team meetings at every school. Our CRTs are made up of administrators, teachers, nurses, paras, and counselors at the building level. Looking ahead, we have a reunification training scheduled with the Hopkinton Police and Fire Departments tomorrow. The hope is to update our current plans in the spirit of adopting what's best practice. In addition, several of our administrators, some here today, attended a recent DESE webinar on combating hate in our schools offered by the Attorney General's office, and we'll be debriefing that webinar together as an admin team at our next meeting in a few weeks. We're also coordinating with the town safety task force in the coming weeks to plan a tabletop drill with school leaders and local officials. And lastly, some of our buildings will be conducting ALICE drills in the coming months, so more information will be provided to families as we get closer to those exercises. And all of these are being done proactively to ensure our schools remain safe, prepared, and welcoming for our students and staff.
What's a tabletop drill?
Tabletop drill is when we get together with police or fire or within your own building CRTs and come up with a scenario that might happen, and you kind of walk through how you would deal with that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
Thank you.
Yep.
Different question.
yes.
What is reunification training? What's being reunified?
Yes, so when we have to evacuate a building, where we would actually go to after that. So right now, each building has a plan. We have not updated that in a few years. We want to kind of make sure that we have plans in place, that we're doing what police and fire want us to be doing. It's actually run by the state police, this presentation. So we're sending reps from the school, the fire department, and the police department.
Great.
Yeah. Great. Next, I wanted to take a quick moment to remind everyone of my upcoming entry survey. The survey will be short, completely anonymous, and designed to give me some feedback about your experience and perspectives in the Hopkinton Public Schools. The information that we gather will help shape goals as we move forward. Staff, family, students, and community members will have access to the survey through a link that will be shared in the superintendent's monthly memo on October 1st, and then sent again via email in the following week. And I strongly encourage everyone to just take a few minutes to complete the survey, as your feedback will play an important role guiding us in our districts and our future plans. And lastly, our Top of the Hill spotlight this week goes to Keegan Bradley, a former Hopkinton Hiller. This weekend, Keegan is leading the United States Ryder Cup team as their captain, which is an incredible honor and one of golf's biggest stages. So we couldn't be prouder of Keegan. On behalf of the Hopkinton Public Schools and the town of Hopkinton, we send him the very best and lots of Hiller pride as he represents our country and our hometown. And that is the superintendent's report for September 25th.
Great, thank you. School committee chair report, our payroll warrants S26005 and S265A have been approved. Warrants 2625S, 26026S, 26027S, 26028S, 26029S, 26030S, 26031S, 26032S, 26033S, 26034S, 26035S, 26036R are approved, and the warrants are in your folder. And there was discussion at the last meeting about the superintendent's evaluation. We discussed that. And there were some members that felt it would be good to have a refresher training. There's only 2 of the 5 of us that have actually gone through superintendent evaluation since we did not evaluate Dr. Kavanaugh last year, right before her retirement. So I reached out to the Mass Association of School Committees, and they are willing to do a training for us that is included free within our membership. We were just wondering when we might be able to schedule that. We were hoping maybe we could schedule this in the month. I know you have a vacation coming up or whatever.
During the day would be great.
During the day?
What are did they suggest options?
They did not suggest any options.
Do we also know?
How long the training is? I have no other information. They just
Has
said,
anyone, have you done it?
So I don't know if they probably would tailor it to a smaller group
Yeah.
than what they do at the MASC conference. It's less than 2 hours at the conference. I don't know what they would do for this here, but
I can send around some dates that we think that.
If we do during a work day and we're shooting for before the end of October, beginning or end of the day would be greatly preferable for me
Okay.
versus like a middle of the day.
Yes. Makes sense. Great.
so I would struggle with the day at all,
With
but my evenings are also packed. I would not want you, I think that you should exclude
Right.
me from the consideration.
you've
If I
been
can
doing
come,
it before.
if I can come, I will, and that's great, but I don't want to mess anybody else's.
You
I
have the
think-
most experience of
I-
all of us.
Evening would be better for me in October.
There's no online tutorial or video we can watch?
Good question. I can
on
ask.
Time?
And I don't know if it could be a remote training.
Yeah, it must
So I
be
would,
that ability.
if I could add
Yep.
just 2 cents. One is, I had sent around as a resource that would be helpful if people read that sooner rather than later, because as Mr. Bishop talks about his goals and like measures, like progress being made on them, those are things that we should keep in the back of our mind as part of the evaluation process. That MASC reference will help with that. And then be able to do the training, because that'll help with both the formative piece, which is actually not as far away as it seems. It's usually we do it in January. And then the summative evaluation as well. But maybe it doesn't, in my opinion, everybody has their own, but you wouldn't have to have the entire training done in October if it's easier for people to push out, or
Yeah,
if
a
it's
few
easier to
months.
do now,
Yeah.
maybe it is. But I think having some familiarity with it would be helpful as Mr. Bishop goes through his goals. So,
Got it.
Thank you. More to come on that.
it's great that they're able to do one specific
Yeah,
to,
I was pleasantly surprised.
and free.
And free, yes. I was like, and the cost? Didn't know if we had any money for this. Liaison reports? Anybody?
Charles Wood going good.
Great.
I'm still pumped from the drone photos and looking
Yeah.
forward to the next set, so.
Early October,
Okay.
Great.
once a month.
I can wait.
We need to put him on the agenda for that.
Okay, we will work on that. All right.
I saw there's a drone club though.
Yes, I was actually,
Oh.
That was a good photo, wasn't
That
it?
was a good photo.
Yeah, it was, yep.
It looks like
Jealous.
this.
maybe you could get together with the drone
They should
club.
get together with me.
Yeah,
I'll work on
The
it.
same.
maybe Ryan could help you with that.
Yeah, I'll tell Sterling.
It's one person?
Well,
The club is one person?
No, the guy runs.
Teacher.
Runs it.
Oh, that's a teacher. Oh, okay. Got it.
All right, new business, school improvement plans. We are excited to have our administrators here, and I think we're starting out with Mr. Palmerville.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you
Good
very
evening.
much for having me. We're very excited to share our proposed school improvement plans. One thing that's really important to remember when it comes to the improvement plans, these aren't created in a vacuum. So we do solicit feedback from members of the school council, students, our subject matter leaders in all the different subjects, and also the other school administrators, assistant principals Laura Tice and Sarah Ella. So this year, we're proposing 2 different goals, and they both fall under from the strategic initiatives related to meeting every student's needs. So the first goal, just a little overview, is to refine and grow the multi-tiered system of support, specifically targeting professional learning communities, or PLCs, to meet every student's academic and social emotional needs every day. And the second goal is about refining and growing opportunities for student agency, choice, and voice. So just a little reminder about MTSS, or the multi-tiered system of support. Basically, that's a framework for organizing interventions and supports. So in Tier 1, you would have your universal supports that all students have access to. Those are proactive strategies such as data-driven, high-level instruction, social-emotional supports within the classroom to create a safe learning environment, things of that nature. And the second tier then would be more targeted interventions. Those might be specific supports related to a skill with smaller groups of students. And ultimately then third tier would be your smallest group. Those would be intensive supports, maybe one-on-one supports and things from there. So we think that by applying an MTSS lens to our professional learning communities, we have the opportunity to create the best outcomes for students. Our professional learning communities are comprised of teachers and their course partners, and we've also expanded those PLCs to also include special educators when it's a co-teaching environment, so you can get all the different voices and perspectives in the planning process. So this goal has 2 different parts. The first one would be a focus on differentiating lesson planning. So the PLC would review lessons and think about the learners that they have in front of them and add tasks specific to meet the needs of those learners. In addition, there would be common planning time dedicated to differentiating instruction. We would be providing some level of PD to help teachers understand what MTSS looks like in the Hopkinton school systems, and also how to differentiate lessons as they have varied learners in front of them. And then finally, they would be looking for opportunities to increase student agency. We know that when students have options to select how they're showing their mastery, it increases engagement, and when you're increasing engagement, you're increasing motivation, and that helps all students of all different kinds of learning styles really flourish. So we want to be able to do that. The other part of that is to look at the data related to growth, to student growth. So the first part is for these PLCs to identify what are the data points, what are we looking at, what's going to be the most beneficial data that we can look at to see student growth. And then from there, what is the system of progress monitoring? We don't want to collect data for the sake of collecting data. So what we want to do is make sure that the data that we're taking is effective, it's moving students forward, and you need a nice schedule of progress monitoring to make sure that that's happening at a regular interval. So that's overall what the first goal is. Now, our second goal is actually year 2 of a 2-year goal, and it's related to growing opportunities for student agency, voice, and choice. You may be aware that we collect a lot of student climate data. So just to kind of go over a couple of them, we survey students for the Metro West Adolescent Health Survey, and we look at a variety of different areas there. We have the VOCAL, which is the Vision of Climate and Learning survey that all 10th graders complete after they finish their MCAS, and it allows them to talk about specifically what they think the climate of the school is, learning environments, do teachers believe in them, do they feel like they're able to do their best, and all of those kinds of things. In addition to that, we have the Pathways After Graduation survey, which is given to alumni to ask them and survey them to make sure, like, how prepared did you feel to be successful in college? What did your first 2 years of college look like? And our alumni have been awesome, responding to that in really good numbers and giving us really valuable data. We talk about college all the time, we talk about post-secondary, but it's nice to actually hear our alumni who have gone through the school and give us that feedback and to maintain connections with them and kind of learn from that. You can speculate, but you never fully know until you actually ask. So, yes.
What kind of percentage of a class do you get that gives you feedback?
I would say right now we're probably, so we have 2 years, 2 graduating classes out. I would say we're probably in that 3rd to a 4th of respondents. And one good thing about this, we work with a wonderful researcher who continually is on the alumni sending messages out. So we got the initial batch and then we sent out another one and we were able to incentivize it, and other students in the second batch were able to respond. So every subsequent year we're increasing the numbers of people that are responding, which gives us really good data. In addition to that, we also have the holistic student assessment, and I know I'm listing off like all these different climate things, but it's really important because our belief is that if students know that they have a voice, they know they're being asked, and they know that they're being heard, they're going to be really motivated to be a part of the community. And one of the things that makes the climate at Hopkinton High School and Hopkinton community in general is that all voices are heard. So by having all of these climate surveys, asking and getting this feedback, we're able to make decisions based on the experiences of the students that are in front of us, not purely speculative. So it's really important that we continue to do that and analyze that data. One thing that we're focused on this year, we're doing the Metro West Adolescent Health Survey in October, and one of the important things that we noticed was in the last time we administered it, that female students reported a really high level of stress in the last 30 days or depressive symptoms in the last 12 months. So through the efforts of our social emotional learning and the different tier 1 interventions that we put in place, we're hoping to see those numbers change, and the only way to do that is to consistently be surveying. The other facet of this goal is related to exploring post-secondary options. So there's 2 different parts to this. The first is the expansion of our senior capstone experience. That is a wonderful opportunity for seniors, and over the last few years has really, really grown. Last year we had about 330 seniors in the class and about 300 participated, which is outstanding.
Amazing.
Our goal is for this year to be the first senior class in which 100% of the students will be participating in this. That provides them the opportunity to explore passions, to kind of look at potential post-secondary options and dedicate a lot of time to that. They create projects, and we're really excited about the entire class doing that because we realize the value that accompanies that. And then the second part of that post-secondary exploration goal is related to increasing the number of students that are participating in the My Career in Academic Planning, or MyCap, where they explore different options, and also look at increasing the number of students that are participating in work study, exploring internships, and doing things like that. When we look at, we know a lot of our students do go to 4-year colleges, but not every student's going to do that. And part of our responsibility is making sure that students understand that there are a variety of post-secondary options, so that when they make a choice, I'm going to go to this school or I'm going to do this afterwards, they've at least explored the other options and they kind of have their footing there. So we think that those are really important elements when we talk about student voice and choice. We're not just talking, and this is one track and this is what you're going to do. So I open it up to any questions that you might have related to those, but we are excited about these goals, and we think it continues. We're doing a lot of great things at HHS, but we always want to be pushing the bar. We always want to be moving the needle and improving the experience for all of our students. So we think these goals help to do that.
Where do you find the work study and internship opportunities?
So that's interesting. So we are pretty creative. We do put a lot of, for the work study in particular, to do work study right now, students have to already have a job. So that's a good opportunity, and that gives us the ability to have we have students that do it that have all sorts of different kinds of jobs. Sometimes they'll work at like Kidsborough, or they'll work on like an early learning center or something like that. But then there's other jobs that are just like the traditional high school jobs. And it's interesting for them to do that. And if they need help with that, our counselors do a great job of communicating, and they know the community quite well. And sometimes we can pair people up. I think having students or more students do the senior capstone experience will create a lot of opportunities for those internships, because they'll, in preparation for their proposals, they'll go out and they'll talk to different people, and because they have more time than they do as a normal high school student, they're able to really expand. And if that's something where maybe they have to go to a different part of the state, that's something they're able to do because they have the flexibility in their time.
Great, thank you.
So a comment, and I wanted to also, if I can put Ryan on the spot for a minute as well, but so I appreciate all that's going into looking at different paths for post-secondary exploration. I think one challenge as a community that we have is that I think the school is doing a great job of trying to highlight other opportunities that kids might have that would be a better fit than a 4-year college. Mm-hmm. For lots of kids, I know historically 4-year college is the path they choose. I think some kids find afterwards, anecdotally, that might not have been the right choice, but they felt the pressure from the students around them to go that route. And is that something, this is where I'm going to put you on the spot, Ryan, if that's okay. Is that something that you see and feel in the high school? Because it seems like we have, on the one hand, I think we're a high-performing district. It's not a surprise that we have such high numbers going. But I know there are kids that it might not be the right option for? And do you have any insight on kind of where those pressures come from for kids?
Yeah, I think some of the pressure, like you said, we're a very high-performing district, so I think a lot of kids have a lot of pressure, like, okay, I'm going to this great school, like, I need to do great things, but I think that not everyone, feels the pressure from their friends. I have a lot of friends who aren't looking to go to a four-year college. Maybe they're looking to go into trade school or other things like that. So I don't think they're feeling a lot of pressure to go into those four-year schools. And I think Mr. Palmenville and Mr. Bishop before did a very great job on, not pressuring kids or, yeah.
That's great to hear, just because I know that for some kids it might not be the right path. Yeah.
And I'll jump in quick, and I think a lot of the reasons why we're partnering with Judy Martin in the PAG survey is to get a sense of that, right? When students are going to a four-year college and maybe it doesn't work out, what were the reasons, and what could we maybe do prior to that to give them information that they might need? So
Yeah.
that's all kind of part of those conversations. And I know Ella was here last time talking about Challenge Success. That whole program is designed to talk about redefining the word success, and what does that mean? Does it always mean this type of four-year college? It could be a variety of different things. So it's certainly a message that we try to.
I appreciate the work that's gone into it.
And part of our responsibility, I think, is to make sure that when we do post-secondary exploration, it's not putting it at odds with other things. And I think that when we talk about that, it's either, it's truly should be exploration and understanding, like, if we're looking at different post-secondary plans, it doesn't mean you can't take all of these AP classes that you want to. And if we're exposing them to it, I mean, Ryan mentioned we have the Senior Transition Day coming up, and one of the workshops students can select at that time is to look at post-secondary options and kind of explore it like that. And it's nice because that day is dedicated. It's not taking them out of classes to do it, because obviously a lot of our students, if you give them the option, they're going to choose to be in class. They don't want to fall behind. They don't want to do this. And sometimes when you go to explore these other options, they lose something. They lose class time or things like that. And you don't want to have students have to make that choice when you're trying to expose them to different things. So we're looking for different ways for them to be exposed to these things where they're able to do all the things that they want to do, take all the classes they want to take, but also be able to do these other things, which we know in the long run will be really helpful for them.
Thank you.
Great. Is there any effort to also communicate this to families about the programs and stuff? I mean, I'm sure people are hearing about it tonight, but as a parent of a sophomore, I didn't know these were available, and very enticing for my student.
We're always looking for ways to improve that communication and we'll be sending out additional information related to the expansion of the senior capstone experience. We're going to be sending that out later in the fall so that all parents understand that and they know what that looks like and what that means. But in general, I think our counseling department has been continually looking to increase that through seminars, through those kind of conversations, but sharing it with the community is definitely something that we want to prioritize.
That'd be great.
Yeah. And also that changes the dialogue in the community as well, so that parents understand, oh, this I didn't know this was an option, the work-study question, like those kinds of things.
Yeah.
Like, it's a great option, but we don't want to have it be for a small amount of people. We want to be able to expand it to as many students as possible or that they have the interest in.
And you talked about peer pressure. I'm sure parental pressure is also a big factor.
I'm sure parents feel a lot of pressure. I have a sophomore daughter, and I feel a tremendous amount of pressure to make sure she's doing everything right along with everybody else.
Does each student get one-on-one time with a counselor, either maybe every year? Is it every year? And say, okay, college, no. If not, I want to go down this route, trade school or whatever. And then those kids who, I would assume that those that want to go to a four-year college, that's the most common path, it's probably the easiest to deal with. And then the kids who are looking to do something else, it's a little more challenging for counselors to help with that. But all of those students get one-on-one time with a counselor.
Correct. And I think, they get one-on-one time over the course of their 4 years. It starts, they have the freshman meetings, the sophomore meetings, the junior meetings, senior meetings. They also talk about a lot of it. They have seminars with their students, with the counselors have seminars with their students. All 4 years, there's multiple seminars. And one thing that's really helpful is when they have those conversations freshman year, a lot of the freshmen, they might not know exactly what they want to do, but as they deepen the relationship and they start to understand a little bit more, then those conversations also morph into the course selection process. So if you're looking to do this, these are the courses you should be taking. So there's a direct relation between those conversations and also how, not only this is what I want to do, but what's going to put me in the best position to get there. And what does this look like and what do these courses look like?
Does the counselor, freshman is assigned remain with that
Yes.
student? Don't-
Yeah, they have them all 4 years, and luckily, one of the things that's really nice is that our counselors the caseloads are divvied up alphabetically, so you might have all 4 children of the same family, so there's a nice relationship built there,
Yeah.
and that definitely, I think, is a massive aid to the
Yeah.
parents, because you're used to dealing with that counselor, and the caseloads don't really change dramatically over time, so you're very likely, if you have 4 children, they're gonna have the same counselor for all 4, which is wonderful from a community standpoint.
Great, thanks.
How many students is each counselor responsible for?
Each counselor is responsible for, I want to say, probably 200.
200 to 210.
Yeah, 200 to
There's usually
210.
a recommended number that you want at the high school level, and we're in pretty good shape with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're between 200 and 210, depending on the counselor.
Mhm.
And then they write their letters of recommendation for college. Ryan can talk about the relationship with counselors, but it's a very important one at the high school.
Right now.
I don't know if we want to do it right now. No.
We got a lot
We got a lot to do. But I will say, as we're talking, and I can work with Mr. Palmville, if we wanted to have some students come back who have done work study to talk to you all about that, we'd love to invite them. Or have some students who've done the senior capstone project come back and maybe do some presentations for all of you to see that, so.
I think when the students come, that's sort of a highlight for me.
Oh,
Yeah,
Absolutely.
So we can certainly-
absolutely.
Yeah, we can work on that.
I don't want to let the moment pass, though, that this is the first time that you've come before us as the high school principal, so it's nice to
Yes,
see you.
thank you
here.
very much. It's nice to see you too. Yeah, the first month has been fantastic. I think that it was nice to hear that and seeing both of you at the back to school night. That was a wonderful event, and I think the past month has been outstanding. I think it's been a nice transition. Obviously there's things to learn, but at the same time, it's a wonderful start.
I've heard really positive things across the board, so.
Oh, excellent. Thank you. I hope about me.
Yes.
Is that positive? Just in general, or?
About the high school.
Okay, good.
I was going to see that.
Excellent.
Great. Thank you very much. We very much
you very much.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Justin.
Mr.
Thank you.
LaFave, you're up.
Right. Nice to see you. How are you? Thank you very much. Appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight and talk about the HMS School Improvement Plan. We started work on our plan in the early spring of last year with the staff and school council. So this school improvement plan reflects input from a lot of different people. It most closely aligns with 2 of the strategic initiatives, meeting every student's needs and building a community of respect and collaboration. So very proud to present goals that are in line with those initiatives. The first goal, largely driven by our director of ELA at the middle school, grades 6 through 8. We're going to expand instructional strategies through training in the TQE process, TQE standing for thoughts, questions, and epiphanies. We'll talk a little bit about the actions associated with that. Our second goal is going to be to enhance social, emotional, and social learning experiences for students at HMS. And our third and fourth goals, increasing opportunities for general and special education staff to collaborate on best strategies. That's, I think you all know, inclusive practice is super important to me. So I'll talk about some of those actions in a minute. And then with our school council, goal number 4, collaborating with families and the community to create opportunities to celebrate who we are as a school community. So actions relative to goal one are mostly professional development associated with TQE. And in year 1 of this goal, our entire ELA staff, 6 through 8, will participate in PD opportunities facilitated by our ELA director to learn this teaching strategy. We're hoping that it will yield some real rich discussions in the classroom and also just build students' writing strategies. In year 2, looking forward, hoping that we will be able to take some of that learning and infuse it into other disciplines as well. So we're using some common vocabulary for writing and discussions in courses like science, civics, and possibly even math. That was a little joke there, but we can write in math too. Actions relative to Goal 2 for social emotional learning. Last year, one of our 7th grade teams just had a fabulous community event on their team. So one of the 7th grade teams built an incentive plan in for their students, and at the end of that plan, they had an event outside. And moments like that go a real long way in building school culture and having students motivated to learn. So from an administrative standpoint, creating opportunities for teams of teachers to plan those events is important. We'll see what they do with that. We're continuing our work in restorative justice to make sure that we're learning to respect each other in our school community and to learn about each other's differences. And along with that, building upon culturally responsive practices. Last year we had an activity with staff that was a huge hit. We put staff into small teams and they visited each other's classrooms to see how students and their backgrounds and identities were reflected in the classroom. Student work on walls, I think, is super common at the elementary levels, but to have it at the middle school level, it's just as heartwarming, and it means just as much to the students. So we'll continue that this year. Goal number 3, Nicole Murray, one of our directors of special education, put a lot of work into this, so I appreciate her kind of guiding me through this. The key action here is really staff sharing sessions to make sure there's time and space for learning specialists and related service providers to interact with our regular ed staff to look closely at individual ed plans. The counselors will be sharing information on following 504, so we're just kind of sketching out at this point what the calendar will look like relative to that. But we're excited for our upcoming early release day. We'll have 2 sessions specifically designed to complement this goal. Like a brief safety care training, which has to do with regulation and assisting students. And then the second half of that will be social pragmatics led by our speech pathologist. So making sure that every student has the opportunity to be successful in their classroom. And again, goal 4, a lot of collaborative work with school council. 2 years ago, we hosted an international night, which was super fun and really successful in bringing people out. So I have 2 teachers, Shannon Kirschenbaum, Dawn McNally, along with Kristen Richards, our ELA teacher, and Lauren McDonough, assistant principal, working to plan our 2nd international night. So that will be coming up. The students on school council really wanted to have some type of whole school community event. And of course, I took a very educational approach to that. And they said, we really just want to come to the school and have fun. So we'll be looking for we're designing some type of event where an entire family can come in and participate in a fun, maybe I'll slip in some learning there, but just a fun community event at the school. And coming up, we'll have our 2nd annual community read. We talked about this at our back to school nights. That was successful last year. We've picked our book. It's called I Will Always Write Back. So just looking to bring families into the middle school for meaningful experiences. And the last thing under goal 4, working with HPTO, we're trying to launch this concept that I have of presentations during Hiller Block. So maybe a presentation that might not appeal to an entire grade level, but bringing in a speaker. Last year we brought in a speaker on finance, which I'd love to get financial literacy into what we do. It's just hard to find space. So we had this voluntary speaker, and we had students sign up for it. They attended the presentation during Hiller Block. So trying to expose students to, whether it be careers or areas of interest during Hiller Block, just providing that option for them. So that's something I'm looking forward to working with the HPTO to expand upon this year. Thanks for listening.
I saw evidence of student work on the walls during the back to school night.
Oh, great.
It was fabulous.
Great.
It's good to see.
That early in the year, too. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There were some, it was in history, particularly.
Yeah.
Ancient drawings.
Cool. Feels good to know that you're in the space, right? And that it's your space, yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks for noticing
For
that.
kids. Any other questions, comments?
I love the community-wide and within the school, though, the book. I think that's great.
Thanks.
Yeah, great to get everybody reading and talking about books. Also love the making space for the staff sharing sessions and the collaboration between the gen ed and the special ed staff. I know sometimes it's hard for teachers to be able to carve out time like
That's right.
that, and
Yeah.
I love that that's intentional.
Yeah, it's intentional in really trying to take, I mean, we're so fortunate to have a middle school model where
Yeah.
a team of teachers can come together in support of a student. So, drawing upon the professional knowledge of that learning specialist or, a related service provider that can talk to all of that student's teachers at the same time, I mean, that's a huge opportunity. So drawing upon that internal knowledge, I think will pay great benefits for us. Yeah,
Great.
thank you.
That stood out to me too. I really appreciate that because I know that my impression, at least, is that none of the educators or service providers want to be siloed, but finding that time to connect. And so providing that for them, I think, is going to contribute to really positive outcomes for both the professional staff and for the students.
Yeah, all
Thank you.
children benefit
Thank
from
you.
the special educators in the classroom,
Mhm.
not just the children that they're there for. It's
Yeah,
truly amazing to see the collaborations.
thank you.
I've also heard really good things about not only you, but everything at the middle school.
Thanks, Chris. Thank you. I appreciate that. I'm super proud of our school. Super proud. So thanks for saying that. Appreciate that.
Should be.
Thank you.
I hear good things too, but I don't have that direct line anymore. I don't have any
You're welcome.
students.
You're welcome anytime. You know that. Thanks.
Great. Well, thank you very much.
wonderful.
We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you,
So
Ryan.
we have
Pleasure.
the elementary schools coming up. Mrs. DeBoe, Mr. Brongnier, and Mr. Cotter. We're glad that you could come hot off of kindergarten back to school night.
Which, according to one kindergartner, Jeff Bezos was there, but that was Mr. Bishop.
Our bank accounts are just a little different.
It was priceless. I mean, they're just so happy to be there and great, but one of them did think he was Jeff Bezos. That was great.
So I had the
I think it
opportunity
was the pin.
to give Mr. Bishop the tour while we were doing the
Yes.
superintendent, and I did notice that the students at Marathon looking way.
Yes.
Yeah. You asked me if I was 6'7" today.
Yeah.
All that craze. So.
When I gave Mr. Bishop his tour of Hopkins, I had a kid pull me aside and said, "What are you doing with Mr. Bezos?" I said, "Listen,
Do you get that
We've
from
struck gold.
non-kindergartners?
No,
Or,
just that level. It's interesting.
And Hopkins too.
It happened.
And I'm sorry, yeah, it's the elementary, yeah.
Yeah, from those.
What are you
yeah.
doing?
yes, listen, very important person."
Oh my goodness, but yeah, no, it was great. It was great. So I'm happy to
They're
be
wonderful
here.
then.
This worked out well. So thank you for rearranging the plans in the reverse order, so that I could be there, visit with families and then be here. So
And so
That was nice.
David and I won't mess up. So we're excited again to be doing a K-5 school improvement plan. I think we all know we love having our 3 separate schools, but it also comes with some of its challenges with the transitions with for younger kids. So having us be aligned on the goals for those grade levels is important to us. And our 2 goals meet 2 different strategic initiatives from the strategic plan. The first being meeting every student's needs, and the second being build a community of respect and collaboration. So we're excited for these goals, and it's always just important to note we do tons of stuff at the elementary level. These are just 2 highlights, 2 goals that really highlight some of the big project work we're doing. But so much goes into raising the youngest kids of the district too. So
So we work on many things, as Mr. Cotter said, but identifying 2 goals that have that common thread throughout all of our elementary schools. The first being to refine and grow the multi-tiered systems of support to meet every student's academic and social emotional needs every day. So we work hard on not moving forward the academic foundation, but the social emotional foundation, looking at the whole child and that critical development for all areas.
Excuse me. I think something to note here too is that because these goals, I mean, we lay it out like that, meeting every single student's needs every single day, academically and social emotionally. That's a lot, right? We recognize that. There's a lot of different action steps and pieces that we know make that really important. So we don't see this just as like a singular goal that we're going to check the box and meet this year. This is an ongoing process. We've identified it as a 2-year goal, but truthfully, I think these are things that are going to be, leading the work that we do with students across the 3 elementary schools and then leading into the middle school and the high school, for years to come if we're doing this truly well and establishing these structures that we're talking about. So I know Mr. Pominville and Mr. Lefebvre both mentioned the idea of MTSS. That's a really important part for us too, that multi-tiered system of support. And I think for us, we're really working on establishing kind of a guide. And when we say a guide, I think just common language that, every single educator kind of understands that really deep, thing that we mean when we talk about that. Like, what does it look like to provide high-level quality instruction within your general education classroom every single day? If students need something a little bit different or a little bit extra, how do we have the structures in place to be able to provide for that, so that each student is able to kind of access that? So again, these are things that I think, I want to say, I think we do so many things really well. I think a lot of these things that we're talking about aren't things that we have to create for the first time. I think we have a lot of structures that are in place, but I think it's identifying those things that are working, and then kind of taking those to the next level, and then also identifying some of our gaps and sort of building the structures to sort of meet those needs. So I know there's a few other bullets. I don't know if you guys want to jump in there.
Well, I think you'll hear commonalities with the different plans, which is terrific. When the middle school talks about bringing special educators and general educators together to talk about students, at the elementary level, we're doing that through data meetings. So we can look at, and as our ELA director says, data is a gift. What does it tell you? How is it going to help you learn what that child needs, what they might need more of? Not looking at it at a deficit base, but what does it tell you about your class and your instruction? So having those where we can deepen staff understanding, so that data is a positive word. Sometimes in years past, data seemed like a, negative word. And we've worked on shifting that so that we view it as it's helpful information and a gift. And with that, something that we are excited to do this year, and it's a process, we're not ready to do it right now, is connecting that with our homeschool partnerships. We talk a lot about data. We want to be more transparent with families and sharing that. So finding systems, how do we do that efficiently and effectively? What does that look like? So that when we're talking about data, which we often talk about here at school committee, parents will have that same data for their students, at home, through PowerSchool, whatever that means might be. So that's something that we are really excited to sort of show the process and the growth for children with families that we are very proud of.
I just think one other thing I would highlight, sorry, I didn't mean to jump in if you were going to jump in. You could tell we've rehearsed this really well between the 3 of us. I think the idea of learning support teams, and also we mentioned sort of professional learning communities. I think part of that MTSS structure is leveraging those really high-functioning professional groups that work together to use data to support student growth and learning. So that's something we've committed to at the elementary level, is really looking at the structures and maximizing our resources, but also the knowledge that our educators bring every single day, and collaboratively working together to support every single student. Sometimes when things come up that seem challenging or hard, the best resource could be the person next door to you or the person that you share, a prep period with, and finding opportunities for folks to really have the structures to engage in those really collaborative problem-solving conversations and supportive students. Those are 2 areas that we're going to prioritize in our work, is really looking at those 2 sort of models to leverage that opportunity to move students forward.
And this does connect to our second goal, which is to, and I know we might have read a little out of order with the slides here, to refine and grow instructional practices related to social emotional learning to help children develop a capacity for kindness, respect, and compassion. So good, nice, kind human beings. Like, in a nutshell, it sounds so easy and simple, but that's part of where the work with restorative justice comes in. You know, at our level at Marathon, children are so egocentric. The world, like, they're surprised they all live in Hopkinton when they start talking at lunch. Like, the world revolves around them, and it's just not sort of in line with what the reality is. So we're trying to help them understand the perception of others, your impact on others, how others might be feeling, and then expanding that to sometimes we might say or do something that can hurt someone's feelings or physically hurt them. How do we do to sort of repair that and connect it so we can have those collaborative, positive relationships with others? So that ties in nicely to the restorative justice work that then carries on through deeper conversations and dialogues at the upper level with that. But we take that social emotional learning so seriously because it's just a huge component of life skills, actually, not just the academics. So that's what a lot of this goal focuses on, which is helping, so part of, in addition to the restorative justice, sort of capturing what are the SEL curriculums that we're using and what does that scope and sequence look like. We have a lot of different documents, if you will, but is it aligned? Are we redundant? Is it flowing nicely from grade level to grade level? What does that look like across the elementary schools? We really haven't done that before. So working to put that together, we're looking forward to that work to help sort of highlight where we have gaps and where we are doing well and have enough curriculum for that. We'll be participating in the SEL task force. So I don't know if you've heard about that yet, but we are
Didn't know if
excited.
we were allowed to say that or not yet.
Okay, I know.
You can unveil it tonight.
Sneak peek. So part of that, it's not just then the elementary schools, but the district as a whole, recognizing, you know, it is so important. What are we doing to address those needs? Make sure we have time during the day for that instruction. And along with that, sometimes children, we need a little bit more to support their instructional needs, be it academics, be it social emotional. So looking more at those tier 2 and tier 3 interventions. What are the resources available? What does that look like? Is it something that connects across the 3 buildings? So at our level, our administration, a lot of our assistant principals and our counselors will have access to something that Hopkins has used with great success, Rethink Ed. So we'll be trying, sort of piloting that out a little bit at our level at that, those roles to see what sort of impact we're able to make with that.
Yeah, and I think that work is about us creating common language between the buildings. I think that really helps kids learn some hard adult skills, right? I think we have high expectations for kids and how they act, right? So like for example, today at our SEL meeting at Hopkins, we identified a couple different themes that we wanted to make sure teachers are able to teach students, like for example, intent versus impact. Like, you may not have meant to mean that, but what you said to your peer was hurtful. So how do we repair that? And we want to have common language across all of our classrooms in order to resolve those types of conflicts. I think it's really good for kids. So if we can start building those skills at a younger age, that helps them solve the adult problems that they get to as they get up through high school. So that SEL task force is a big part of finding what's going to be common. We do a lot of great things in the SEL world, but we don't necessarily all do the same things. So it's trying to figure out what works best, and then how do we get that in every classroom, and get the same teaching. It may be that David's class has a different makeup and needs to work on a different skill than my class, but we're still using same language when those skills do cross over.
And connected to this, that sense of belonging, Mr. Lefebvre spoke about that at the middle school with the, what do you feel representative of yourself in this classroom or whatnot. So that's part of what's there, the CRIOP, that stands for the Culturally Responsive Instruction Observation Protocol. So that's why we say CRIOP, because it's really long. But looking at that classroom connection and connecting to the instruction, the belonging, which if you are feeling good and connected, you're more open to learning. You feel good about it. Doesn't mean that it's not hard, that you don't have challenges, but if you're not feeling that connected, put it that way, it's really hard to learn and make progress. So we'll continue to work more with that.
It'll be interesting to see as you're implementing these efforts, data on the incidence of bullying and things like that, I expect will decrease tremendously. It's something that has been concerns among the community.
It's interesting. We've been at Hopkins really working on kids using their own voice and teaching them the skills of what to say when they see something they don't like or something is happening to them that they don't like. And doing that early, often we can resolve conflict earlier. But I think, the old approach was always that the kids will sort of figure it out, which they can if they have the skills. And I think that's the part is we want to teach them the skills so that they can start resolving some of those conflicts. Obviously, there's big things that sometimes need adults to help, but we really do want to build their capacity to handle some of those other things of like, he pushed me on the playground, how should I handle that? Because they really can. And oftentimes kids will go through that process and come out best buddies in the end, right? So we want to teach those skills because those are really life skills, right? Being able to manage those little conflicts day to day. So that's part of this work too.
I noticed that one of the measurable success criteria for Goal 2 is increasing the number of staff trained in restorative justice practices. Do you happen to know off the top of your head a percentage of staff who are trained right now?
I'm close to half my classroom teachers. We had invested a lot of time into restorative justice a couple of years ago, and they love it. If you ever get the chance to see a restorative justice circle, it really is great. There's a whole system to it, but every kid has a voice. Every kid is able, you get to the point where they'll share anything. And they use it to teach, they use it to restore, they use it for conflict management. You can really do a lot with it. So we're about half. I'd like to get to everyone.
We're not at half. I would say maybe 20 to 30%. I think it includes a lot of paraprofessionals too, which is nice that was open. So it's not just classroom teachers. We've had related arts teachers, ESOL teachers, special education teachers. And what we've tried to do is help model that at faculty meetings and other opportunities for others until we can get that training in place.
Last year, for the first time during our February and April vacations, we ran 3 different trainings and actually stipended the teachers who participated. So we put through several dozen of our educators that time, and we're going to plan to do the same thing during the upcoming February and April. So some teachers that have done restorative justice Tier 1, the first thing they said is, when can I do Tier 2? So we're excited not only to try to get as many people doing Tier 1, but also those who want to go a little bit further. We'll do that again this year, so we're excited for that.
That really speaks to the dedication of our teachers.
Yeah.
That's wonderful.
And they speak to how well this methodology helps them in the classroom. It helps really build a classroom community, like a bond there, that if there's a conflict that happens in the class, it doesn't mean it's going to end up in the principal's office. Like, there are in-house things that they can handle and come out as a closer community. So we've got a lot of positive feedback from the teachers.
And even, I'm going to share an example from a circle that happened last year. Some children had a little disagreement at recess, but they thought, and their comment was, well, nobody cares. But when they heard that their classmates, they really liked those peers, and it bothered to see that they were sort of in a disagreement, arguing. They never thought about that. They didn't think their classmates, would have such a reaction to it, and they could see that they're part of that caring community, and that really was powerful. Yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you very much. We appreciate your time coming here tonight.
Yeah, thank you.
It was great to see you.
I love that you guys present together. I think it really speaks to the progress that we've made as a district in not having our 5 schools siloed in the, it feels like there's a much better flow between, and to see the 3 elementary schools together, it'll be, it's nice.
Well, we didn't rehearse, so this is going to sound like a, you know, hypocritical or whatnot here, but we typically work very well in alignment. I think my brain is just fried. But we really do work on that, and I think that helps promote the transition. So while we do have the transitions, someone once told me that our children have the opportunity to practice that. So when they are middle school, when other parts are impacting their growth and development, that's not their first experience, so that they can typically have a greater transition then because they have practiced it so many times. So with that in mind, we try to help promote successful transitions as much as we can. The language might change. It's more complex as you get to the upper levels. That makes sense. But the concepts, if we can build that foundation moving forward, it's strong, and I think that contributes to how we do what we do and how our students really seem to do quite well.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff. And Jeff. No, I'm just kidding.
That's going to stick.
I know, it is going to
Yep.
stick, especially since he's been called it twice now. Yeah, we didn't know that.
I looked at the picture, it's true.
You better hope it's current Jeff Bezos and not like when he started Amazon, Jeff Bezos.
Yeah, yeah,
So-
I know what you're saying.
Do I
Yeah,
need to
but-
look up what Jeff Bezos looked like
Looks
then?
a lot better.
Yeah, the
worth
glammed up
20 trillion.
We do.
Wouldn't we all?
Wouldn't-
We're digressing, but
We do need-
Can I make a motion to approve the
Yeah, thank you.
2025 to 2026 school improvement plans?
I'd like to second that motion.
great. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Great job.
Thank you
Thank you,
all.
everybody, appreciate it.
We appreciate your time. All right, we're moving on to capital plan. Mrs. Rothamich and friends.
And friends. Thank you. I'd like to invite CMTA to join us. And just as a reminder, in July, they were awarded the contract for the Energy Management Service, ESCO project for the middle school and high school. So they've been working very diligently and going through buildings, coming up with existing conditions and where we can go. And just as a reminder too, in the RFQ, the objective of this project was to address, meet, and exceed several of the goals, objectives, strategies identified in the net zero resolution that was adopted by the town of Hopkinton, which reads, the town of Hopkinton commits to a net zero goal of 2045 to eliminate or offset all carbon emissions, including municipal, commercial, and residential sources, with intermediate milestones of 50% emissions by 2030 and 75% by 2037. So I'll let CMTA reintroduce who they are and present findings. And Graham, let us know
Yeah,
there's
we got to get the slide deck
a little
on
bit of
here,
a
but-
delay sometimes
Okay.
for the TV, so it's not just you.
So,
Yeah.
I'm sorry I ran off the whole crowd here, but hopefully this is a little more interesting. But we have a lot of content here to share with you tonight. We're going to try to get through as quickly as we can at the right level so that we don't bore you to death or overwhelm you with too much information. But to Susan's point, a lot of the goals she mentioned are what we're trying to highlight here for you, for what you should be looking towards to renew your schools over the next 10, 20 years. So it's, think of it as a capital renewal plan that solves all of these goals that you've set as a town, that check a lot of boxes that you're trying to check as a community. So we put a lot of thought into trying to put all that together in a way that makes sense, right? So obviously there's a huge financial case to this that we want to make sure makes sense, right? We don't want to do anything that doesn't make sense financially. So how do we package all this together in a way that is financially feasible for you over a period of time? So as Susan mentioned, we were brought on board about 2 months ago. We spent a lot of time walking through the schools in depth, understanding the infrastructure that's there, the age of infrastructure that's there, the renewal that's needed, that you have need to date that you need to be dealing with, and how we can look to do replacements of those over time. We can't just throw 100 million at it today and just solve it. It's going to take time and incremental steps. So we have several cases to show you here. We're going to show you some of the utility analysis of what you're dealing with, some of the existing conditions of what you have, just so you're aware of the conditions of your buildings. I think the tie-in to the previous discussions would be is that we want to make sure that classroom environment is the best it can be, and that infrastructure is an important impact to that, whether it's fixing the heating systems or adding cooling to systems that you don't have now. Those are all important. At least the feedback we've gotten, those are important to you as a community. So that's what we're trying to tie all this together in a way that makes sense to you long term. So I'm going to probably skip through some of this other stuff. You know who we are. We're working with you now. We did the engineering work for you at Charleswood that's under construction, and also at the lower middle school, all underway right now and going very well. So again, a little bit of the agenda here. So again, we'll talk about some of the, just so you understand your capital spend of utilities every year, so you know what that is and what that carbon impact is in the community. An overview of the existing conditions and what we've seen are opportunities and where savings could occur and where renewal is needed. And then what those options might look like and some savings that might come along with that. What you have to keep in mind is that we're looking at savings and energy, but adding air conditioning adds energy. So we got to kind of balance those two things. So if we just did nothing, we could save a lot of energy, but adding air conditioning will add cost. So we've looked at it, we're looking at that both ways for you to consider. And then obviously the financial playbook of how all this plays out over time, what we think is a reasonable approach. Looking at, if you did business as usual, and then looking at electrification options and then air conditioning. So those are all kind of layers we'll get to here. So we have a lot of slides here. We're going to try to get through them as quickly as we can. We have an hour allocated, which is a long time. Feel free to stop us at any time if you have a question. Otherwise, we'll plow through this and we can do Q&A afterwards. So however you want to, if you want to stop us at any point in time, feel free to do that. But these guys have all the details, so I'm going to let them run with it from here. Any questions before we get started? All right, let's go.
I do.
Yes.
The map was on there before,
Yes.
with all the blue dots.
Yeah. Let's go back to the map. I'm not sure what the map even was. I didn't look at it.
That one.
Yeah, so that is projects that my company has done across the United States in high performance facilities of highly energy efficient K-12 schools
Okay.
all across the nation.
So is that, it looks like you've done a lot of work in Pennsylvania and Ohio?
The Midwest is Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Virginia.
Okay.
Yes.
Just curious.
Yes. And we moved, just a little backstory. I mean, as a company, we moved up into the Boston market 7 years ago. So we've been doing this for quite some time. We started working with you guys 4 years ago now, maybe, whenever Elmwood started at the time.
Longer.
It's hard to believe it's been that long, but it has been. So we're national leaders in K-12 school design. We're an engineering firm, so we do the mechanical, electrical, plumbing systems for buildings. So that's what our specialty is, with a high focus on sustainability, drastic energy reductions, net zero energy, which is what you're going to see come forth with Charleswood, with a passive house design and super low energy efficiency when that gets done. But again, that just gets started. That's 3 years from now, we'll have that conversation.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, sure. Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So starting off, like how our process would work for a project like this is we typically look at your utility bills, right? And the easiest way to do that is to create something called an EUI. It's energy use intensity. But long story short, it's a good way to compare it is how you measure your cars, right? Gas mileage. An EUI is a way to compare different types of buildings, different square footages into one common number. It's not perfect, just like a gas mileage is not perfect if you live in the city versus outside the city, but it's a pretty good index. And essentially all it is you take all utility bills over the course of a year, you turn it into one common unit, and then you divide by square footage. So therefore, you compare a 200,000 square foot building versus 50,000 square foot building. Here's kind of a list of where your buildings are. They're slightly above average, but I wouldn't say any of them are horrible outliers. Kind of going on to your climate action plan, right? This was took in place in 2023, and you can see, sort of see, it's a little small of a graph there, but that bottom left there, the schools are your obvious outlier of your town buildings of where 90-something% of your energy and your carbon emissions are going. So now that we have like a baseline of how your buildings are working, our next goal is to go into your buildings and try to understand what we can do, how we can lower the carbon emissions, how we can get comfort to your schools, and what our next steps are. So the first is to take an assessment of your building. Going through your high school, again, this project is focused on the high school and middle school. We were able to see, there's small LED projects already in the auditorium. Your boiler and chiller in the big red box, big red means bad, and that basically, the major mechanical equipment, they usually have a lifespan about 20 years. You're a little bit past that already. And some of the challenges with your mechanical equipment right now is your boilers are non-condensing, inefficient, and your chillers, which provides a cooling to your building, is just not sized to handle your entire building. So our goal is to eventually give you guys cooling. This system just is not going to work for future use. You do have unit ventilators there. I'm sure you've heard complaints about unit ventilators. I will say, functionality-wise, they're still doing fairly well, and I can get into it a little bit later, but it could be an option as a bridge throughout your building.
But I would add to that is that in modern school design, you don't see that implemented. You don't see classrooms with unit ventilators. That unit is in the classroom, it's noisy, and so you just don't see that in modern practice. However, to Graham's point is, they are in decent condition in the long term, so we could keep those for a period of time and look at something in the future instead of just throwing them away right now.
Sorry to interrupt. We
Sure.
don't have this in the packet, right?
I believe Georgette included it.
She did, okay.
Yep.
All right, I'll keep looking. Thanks. Sorry.
So for the high school, we took a look at one floor plan here. I think it's a pretty common scenario for your school. The big air handling units, your common spaces, they have a chill water coil that your chiller can go to. Your classrooms, a majority of them do not have cooling. This is the point we're trying to make it earlier. Although your classrooms do not have cooling, they were installed with a chill water coil and drainage for condensate if you actually do cooling. So it is a possibility to convert your system over if you so choose to. This is kind of in the weeds, so I'm just going to go a little fast here. But the long story short, what I was trying to prove in this slide is that the high school conversion to a cooling system or to a high efficiency system is not that cumbersome of a task. Your main boiler plant has an 8-inch pipe around. We had to upsize that, but the rest of the existing infrastructure we could pretty much use, and it'd be fairly simplistic. The top left there, we have to turn one of those pipes over into a heating and cooling system, and then the bottom we have to turn into a hot water system. You have some equipment that can't take cooling, so we have to create a separate loop for that. But in general, the point is that the system is already in place to handle this. We just need to provide the right equipment to do it. Here would be the major construction project, I would say, for your mechanical system. We just have to run a pipe through, like right by your auditorium over to those little red boxes over there that are heating only. And then therefore we could get the loop that would just handle that loop. This is probably more the point. In the high school rooms, we put in room 207, in another room we put in data loggers that basically just measure temperature and humidity. This was taken about 2 weeks ago. So the outside air temperature actually was not that bad for September. But even still in the classroom, the students were experiencing up to 83 degrees, which your standard room, you're hoping for 72. So that's, I don't want to say abnormal in Massachusetts.
Shaking your head at this.
It's hot. It's hot and humid.
It's hot.
Yeah.
The rooms are not comfortable.
Right. So, and then we looked at it, I was like, well, what can we do with the current system? And then we looked at the chiller. It's barely getting about like 50% capacity, although most of your equipment is calling for more cooling. So it's just kind of telling you that the chiller is slowly losing its life, and it's probably time for something new. Keep going fast here. So the middle school, we took a look at this building obviously as well. Again, big red box, not so good. The air handlers and unit ventilators, they're a little older, but you do have new boilers, gas-fired boilers, and a fairly new control system, which is a very good start. Same general concept, blue squares are where you're cooling. As you can see, most of it does not have cooling in the building. Same scenario for the high school. This is this slide here I want to touch base on a little bit. It's going to show the middle school will be a little more of a challenge as construction goes and the infrastructure. Green basically means easy to convert, right? There's plenty of space. The construction would not be too bad, although we do need to run new equipment. Red, there's a lot of stuff up there. It's a little more digging, a little more construction, I would say. Yellow, we'll be able to get the equipment through, but it might not be the pipes running straight. They might have to, weave and wab a little bit.
It's just a function of it being built over 50 or 60 years, multiple sections done differently.
And again, it was just when we took a look at the building, a majority of the ductwork and piping just cannot be reused like the high school. The middle school will be, if these projects go through, would be more of the challenge, I'd say.
It's a major renewal needed for that building to do anything.
Again, the same point exists, right? This wasn't a trend. The high school, we took a week long to see peaks and valleys. This was just a snapshot during the day, and still some rooms were in the 80s, which is obviously tough for the students. I want to touch on this a little bit. So we are an ESCO project, right? The goal is to create energy savings. It doesn't have to be at the high school and middle school. So we took a look at some of the other schools. Marathon, we could do some daylight harvesting and retro commissioning, basically just retesting your equipment and getting it back into standards. That'll generate some savings. Same with your lighting, we could retest it and get it back. We saw some things function a little wonky. And you have some old fin tubes at the lower middle school that we could find a much more efficient system for you. This is something we want to propose as an alternative as well. If you did end up doing the high school, 4 of your schools right now are on something we call a Niagara-based control system. And what that means is it's non-proprietary, so everyone can access the system. All the systems can talk to each other. The one that's an outlier is the train system at your high school. If you did a construction project there, you can either convert the train system over or have a new vendor in. But what this would benefit is your facility staff could go to one central location, get alarms, get any kind of critical information, instead of going to each individual school, checking in and seeing. They could go to one central spot and know if anything's kind of misplaying. And last part here, just again, red, bad. Red boxes are the things that you definitely want to look into replacing in the very near future. Green has been replaced relatively soon, and the terminal equipment in the high school, it'd be kind of.
I will say that most school districts that we work with have a lot more red and yellow.
Yes,
So,
yes, you're doing okay.
What's black?
black means it doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's no cool in there.
Yeah, there's no
I thought it was
cooling.
maybe worse than that.
Yeah, worse than red.
There's just no
Could be.
color for it, yes.
Doesn't get worse.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, I think Graham just spoke through a lot of the different conversions that, what we saw existing, but what do you all want to know about is how much this is going to cost, right? So let's talk about it. We have, because there's not something straightforward, there's a lot of different solutions that we can look at. So we've really tried to come up with a good, better, best with each solution. Okay, so good is going to be, in the high school situation, an air source heat pump. So what that is it's using air source equipment. I don't have to put anything in the ground. I get to use a lot of the existing infrastructure that's there, and we make some marginal improvements on the EUI and the energy side of things. We are gonna add cooling to all of the high school in this scenario, so all three scenarios are gonna share that. And then some of the boilers are going to remain because the air source heat pump solution does not work on a 0-degree day. You guys have those here, so we need to retain the gas boilers to solve that issue. The next solution is a geothermal water-to-water heat pump. So this is a similar system to what you're putting in Charleswood and Hopkins Lower Middle School. This is, we would putting pipes in the practice field behind the middle school and the high school, and all of that would be the source equipment for both schools. And what this would allow you to do is add cooling again to all of the high school, which is, one of the main goals, but it also allows you to get rid of all of the heating, the natural gas used for heating, which is also one of the goals that we were tasked with identifying a path forward. A lot better improvement on that situation, but that situation relies on a central plant to make heating and cooling. You can only make heating or cooling, you can't do it simultaneously. Unlike what you're going to have at Charleswood and Hopkins Lower Middle School in the addition. The last option is the best option, which would allow any room to have heating and cooling simultaneously, meaning that a building on the east side of the building that needs cooling in the morning could have cooling, while somewhere on the west side that needs heating in the morning could have that simultaneously. And that's done by having distributed heat pumps throughout the system.
Can I ask a quick question?
Yes, very good.
On the better option,
Yes.
like one slide back,
Uh-huh.
am I interpreting that picture correctly, that would mean tearing up that field?
Yes.
To put,
Yes,
And then
all
we-
those red dots are where the drill wells would go. Like if you saw them at the lower middle school where the rig was out there, every one of those
How
is
long would the field be out of commission?
it's a couple of months, 3-4 months,
At the same
Months
time.
or 4 months? 4 months?
4 months.
Yeah. So the process is we come through and basically scrape off all the grass, drill rigs start going, and then we come back and regrade, put in all, I think it's irrigated. We'd have to
Yeah,
put
it's
in all of the
irrigation.
irrigation system back in. That being said, it can be done in phases. Specifically, what you're looking at is if we did all of the middle school and all of the high school together at once. That's not necessary to be done. You can do it, and so think about that being
I
done in
assume
half.
it can't be done in the winter with the, be too cold, the ground would be too cold.
We could do it.
No.
We could be done in the winter.
Mhm.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
You would,
We don't use the field in the
obviously, we
winter,
would, we would have to time that.
Yep.
Yeah, I was just
Right.
curious if it was too cold
No.
in the winter,
Mm-mm.
but,
No.
okay,
Nope.
so that's
No,
all.
the drilling can drill through anything. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
great.
Next is, all right, what does this all cost? So you guys cannot see this, so I'm going to speak to it.
Super small.
Right, this is very small.
Super
All right, so
on purpose.
we have 4 items. I didn't talk about the first item, which is a like-for-like system. That like-for-like system is what would it take to replace all of the equipment that's currently there and add cooling in the capacity that is needed to provide cooling to the whole space. That's the first cost. And then everything after that is an incremental increase to go from good to better to best. Okay? So we start at 11.5
That's
million.
light to light.
That's
Right,
like the
it's
light,
like-
but adding more cooling capacity than you have currently. Okay? That, I think the other thing that Susan tasked us with was, how do we pay for this, right? And it's our task to bring a financial study to you all on how much this costs, and then how can we lower the financial impact to you. So we do that in 3 different ways. We look at energy savings as one. We look at federal programs that are available to you, and we look at local state programs, which Massachusetts has quite a few of those different local programs. So speaking through that, we're going to go left to right. Mass Save is a program that's available to all public entities, and they provide incentives for you to do more efficient systems. Going one step over, the federal government is also doing that currently through what's called the investment tax credit. So this is a program that's available to you as a non-tax-paying entity to get up to 30 to 40% back on what you're putting into these systems, as long as it's a geothermal system. So you will see that there's a 0 under the federal tax credit when it comes to the traditional system, like for like, and for the air source heat pump. They are not incentivizing that. So that's where that 0 is. And then the last, on the very right, is what happens on the energy saving side of things. Like Jess said earlier, there is
a impact to adding cooling to these facilities. So just by adding cooling alone to your existing system would cost you another $75,000 annually just to go to that more, comprehensive cooling system. But as we do it in a more efficient way, we don't get that full $75,000 hit. So that's column number, the baseline energy savings is looking at the building versus what you're currently spending. And then the last column is if we justified this and adjusted the baseline to include what would be spent if you added cooling today. So as you can see, as we go from good to better to best, our utility savings go up, and the distributed heat system would save you, again, $27,000 versus what you're spending now, or up to $106,000 versus what you would be spending cooling-wise. Yes?
So with the state and federal tax credits, the adjusted cost to us stays 11.5, 13.4, 11.2, and 14.15. I mean, just about. Correct?
Yes, yes. So we pull that all together for you.
Oh,
Yes. Yeah,
all right.
but very good. Yes.
Okay. And those adjusted, those are yearly?
Annual savings.
Yearly, okay.
Yeah, the baseline energy, that's a yearly annual return.
Sorry, what's the difference between the baseline and the cooling adjusted?
Yes. So the difference is we want to see what you're spending right now is column number 1.
Okay.
Column number 2 is what happens if you added cooling to the whole building. That's the difference there.
Okay.
I think if you wanted to think fiscally responsibly, look at the first column. That's what you're spending right now. Just understand that there is a hit to add
This-
cooling.
The baseline savings column?
Yes.
Okay, I'm
Yes.
looking at it.
Yes.
sideways.
Yes.
Okay. So we're spending, sorry,
You're
The-
currently I'm sorry, go ahead.
the first one,
Mm-hmm.
there's a baseline energy savings of negative 79,450. Okay. And then with each of the better, best.
Good, better, best.
Good, better, best.
So we would, as we get a better system, we spend more, obviously, on cooling,
But less on your utilities.
but less on the utilities. Got it. Okay, got it, thanks.
Very good. Any questions on the different incentive packages that are available to you?
We did meet with Mass Save a couple of times to go through all these scenarios, to try to get some initial feedback from them, to get an order of magnitude of these savings from them. They're very,
Just for high school.
This is just for the
just for the high school. Yeah, they're very hesitant to give us a lot of information, but we're able to kind of extract these numbers out of them to give us an order of magnitude of what you could anticipate for the savings. Obviously, nothing's been developed to the level of detail to know exactly what it is, but it would give us a target to be able to anticipate. The other thing I want to make sure you understand is that, the net number is the net number. However, you still have to make that initial total investment, and those are then rebates and incentives that come back to you as a town.
How long does it take to get those back?
So you make the initial investment, and the Mass Save will come back within a year. So you do the paperwork, and then the investment tax credit is about 2 years probably, because you have to place the system in service and then go through the whole tax process of filing through your CPAs and whatnot. So it takes time for that. We're seeing
So we'd have to come up with 22.9 million on day one.
Correct.
And then 12 to 24 months later, we'll get the
Yep.
750
Correct. Correct.
In a check or
In a
just
check. It's a check. It's money back to you,
Not
to
a
the
tax.
town. Correct.
To the town.
Because you're not a tax-paying entity, it's cash to you,
Yeah.
to you guys. Wherever that goes in your town, we don't know, but that's where it would come back to the town in some way. So we have more slides about that to talk about
Just come
the,
back to this.
yeah.
Yeah, so what the town would do is, based on the timing of their borrowings, they'll either reduce the borrowing or pay down the debt.
Yeah.
So it'll all be based on the cash flow at the time.
So we have some more slides about that in a minute to show you kind of the timeline, the cash flow timeline.
So let's present this in a different fashion. I know that you guys are getting ahead of me on the slides, but what does the life cycle cost look like for these facilities? And again, it's hard to see here, but what happens when we stack the first cost plus the utility maintenance costs over time, over a 30-year period. That's what we're looking at. HVAC systems are spent after 20 years, so what does it look like to incorporate the next system cost as well? And moral of the story, the green line, which is the geothermal good option, is your best life cycle cost. Said differently, the middle of the pack solution is your cheapest over time. And that makes sense because we're not spending as much money to get geothermal, but we're getting all of the benefit of the tax credits and the mass save credits, okay? But we're not spending as much to get that best system, okay? And I think we don't need to belabor the point. We looked at it with cooling and without cooling adjusted, but it says the same period. Same point is that middle of the road is your best life cycle cost. Next.
Sorry, how many years is that?
That's over 30 years.
Got it.
We also realize that $22 million or $18 million is a lot of money up front. You don't have to do it at once. You can phase it, where you would look at doing just the central plant that would provide all of the cooling into the building. Everything outside in the classroom space, we wouldn't touch that first phase. We would only be doing enough to provide cooling and electrify the system. So it's really solving your goals of adding cooling to the space and electrifying your heat, but we're not replacing all of the 27-year-old equipment to start. That would come at a later phase. So
How much is that?
So the central plant would go, if you're doing the geothermal system, 10.7 million to start, and then the next phase would be 8.2 million. That adds up to,
What's the timeline on the phasing?
We can do that over, what we're projecting right now is over a 2-year system. So
if we paid the 10 million in phase one, and then 12 months later, do we get the money back? Or is it after everything's complete that we would get the money back? So can we do phase one, pay it, get whatever, I don't know, 5-6 million back, and that would help fund phase two?
We'll come back to that point.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got
But yes. Yeah, we'll get to that.
Yeah. And in fact, you've got other investments that are going on simultaneously with Charleswood and Hopkins Lower Middle that are going after the same money that will come into play as well. Meaning that you've got those rebates coming back from the 2 existing construction projects that you can
Could be used to
utilized.
offset.
We could use that money to pay for the
Yes.
initial, or is there rules on how that money is used?
So again, when you look at it in terms of total impact to the community, for instance, if we got some of the money back from Hopkins, then you're borrowing less. So it would go against the Hopkins project. So when you take cumulative, it is reducing the impact to the whole community when you're looking at it from a cumulative standpoint, as opposed to just targeting that this will go here. You really want to look at the full picture of what's happening in the town.
Right, but with the money coming back, we can, in essence, rob Peter to pay Paul. Okay.
Yeah. However the town can manipulate that is how
Can
you
we
could do that.
manipulate that?
Yeah, you'll see
right.
the slide that they have coming up.
Yeah.
And this is on the better.
That's on the better. Yeah, I will note that
Is that the middle option?
Middle.
Yes.
the middle, yes.
The middle one, yes.
There is no, the best option is a lot more invasive. There is no phased approach to that. We
Right.
would have to do that all at once.
It's just not, it's not practical. It's just not a practical approach.
Which
It
is-
would give you the
and that's
best,
what that says at the bottom
Yeah.
there.
would give you the best performance over time, but it's just not, it's too much of a headache, I think. Unless you were undergoing a major renovation of the building, like if there was some other reason to do a major overhaul of the high school, you could do it then, but we know that's not in the cards in the short term. So that's why we put it out there. It's like, well, this doesn't make sense, right? Let's do what, we want to be pragmatic with what our options are here. So the better option is actually the best option.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't change the terms on it.
Yeah, I'm sorry, not to confuse you.
I think that would be the recommended option.
Right.
All right, keep
Good,
going.
thank you.
Yes, all right, very good.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to belabor this. The same type of options exist in the middle school. We've got an air source heat pump option And the next option, same thing as the high school, the next option was not included in the high school. It's what we call a hybrid option, which would basically retain your boilers that you just bought in 2023 and incorporate that into the design of the geothermal system. So on really cold mornings, we're able to inject heat using your new boilers. And what it does is it reduces the number of wells that we need to put out in that system. It doesn't get the best performance, but it could utilize the system that you've got that has plenty of life left in it.
And I believe Jess made a point to when those boilers are ready to be replaced, you then could replace them with electric and finally remove the gas from the middle school.
What's the shelf life on new boilers from?
Those things, they were put in 3 years ago. They've got 17, 18, 19, 20 more years, so they've got a lot of life left on them.
Okay. So you wouldn't take them out now?
How long does the middle school have left?
The middle school?
Just the building itself?
Bill, I don't know.
That's a whole other
We're
conversation.
replacing another, I don't know, why are we gonna spend 20 million on cooling this stuff if the building's got 20 years left, or 15 years left, or 10 years left? I know, Elmwood, is that what we're replacing, right? They have 50, 60-year shelf life, isn't that what we were told at some point?
You want to build for 50 years. Yeah.
How much does the middle school have left? We know when that was built?
I mean, I don't know that the community is going to build a whole new building.
Again, we don't have the money for any of it, but this seems like a lot of money. And I'm just curious, before as we think about spending.
Could the building
tens of millions.
exist with this infrastructure?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, all right.
It was built in
Centers-
1954.
It had some additions
Center
over
School
time.
Obviously, it has some
Yeah.
additions, but.
Yeah.
What's
Center
that?
School was 1928 to 2018.
All right, so it's already past its 50 years, but it's fine. And if we spend, the middle school, I don't know, 10 million or whatever it is.
Right.
Are we, is that gonna get us 30, 40 more years? The rooms all seem fine to me. Does the building seem fine?
I mean, the experts are nodding their heads. I don't know.
Well, they're not in their head from a energy
Right.
and cooling and
Programmatically,
heating.
I don't-
I'm also just mean from the utility.
Structurally.
Yeah, structurally or from
of the utility of the building.
Yeah.
I'm just curious as we're thinking about this. Sorry, what's the middle school? What's the pricing on?
Yeah, let's get to the,
Yeah.
Let's skip to it.
so anywhere from 17.5 to 11 million is the base case.
That's
Good.
That's
pre
pre-rebate.
rebate.
Yes.
What's the-
Correct.
give us the rebate.
Yeah.
What's the net rebate?
So it's
It's about
less, so
11.
you don't
It's right
see-
around 11 million, I think.
Okay, right.
11 to
okay.
13.
Yeah.
Okay, so it'd be 11 for the high school, 11 for the middle school, and then similar, do we need I can't imagine Marathon and
No,
is
No,
fine.
we aren't
Upstate
considering anything
Charles would be
significant.
fine.
Yeah, there's
Hopkins.
nothing.
Nothing significant we're
So-
considering at those buildings.
So the two schools.
Yep.
Yeah, that's why the focus really is on the middle school and the high school,
Yeah.
because this is pretty much what you have left.
Yep.
We've done, with what we're doing at Hopkins, we're addressing 98% of that building. Marathon is kind of a hybrid model. There are improvements that could be made, but you wouldn't do that now. That
Yeah.
building is 2018, so.
It's just incremental stuff there, but at some point in time, those boilers will need to be replaced, but that's,
2038.
yeah, that's
Exactly.
down the
Boilers will
road,
need to
correct,
be-
so.
I'm sure in 2038, there's some new technology.
Correct, exactly, yeah, so we
won't
wanna,
look
we
the
wanna
same.
hope, we'll all, part of it is the slow play for the technology to catch up to
Right.
better, like, mentioning that air source technology is limited to super cold days when the boilers help you kind of maintain that, so at some point in time, that will change. It's just not there yet.
This is, where does this money come from?
It would be debt. It would have to go to town meeting for an article.
An override.
Yeah. Prop 2.5 debt.
Yeah.
What is the degree of timeliness issue here, like in terms of what is the urgency level of doing this in the next year versus the year after or a different year? Well, I would say that, so Part of this really is for you to decide on a philosophy, if you will. You don't need to do both buildings at the same time. You could make a decision on the high school, you could implement it, get it going, put the middle school off for a few years. So this isn't something where you say, okay, both middle school and high school should be done now.
High
Does,
school's
does
in
one
more shape.
need to be
Well-
done right now, though, I guess is what I'm asking. Like, is it, aside from the desire for the classrooms to be a better temperature to learn in and make the environment
So if
better?
you go back to the red boxes
Yep.
that they showed in the existing conditions, the middle school boilers have been replaced.
Yep.
The high school boilers have not. So,
Sorry, how old
In
are
there.
they?
They're original, in the late 90s when the building was built. So that's the two key drivers here. One is the high school is in need of some sort of renewal of the heating system within the next 0 to 5 years.
And cooling system.
And the cooling is falling apart as well, and it's not even cooling the whole building. So it was like,
That's because the chillers are failing.
the chillers are failing, and they weren't sized to do the whole building when it was originally
Because there
designed.
was, additions put onto the,
It just wasn't sized to,
It just
it just, I
wasn't
mean,
sized
back
for it.
then, just people, we just didn't air condition classrooms. The infrastructure can accommodate it, which is
Right.
what we've discovered,
Right.
but, and so it's not as huge of a undertaking to do it, however, it's just not all there today. So it's coupled between lack of capacity and wasn't intended to be that way in the beginning. So that's really kind of how that's how we started here at the high school, is we need to do something with the boiler plant. You could go down the road, we're putting in gas boilers if you want, and just call it a day and move on, but that doesn't solve the town goals of moving towards the electrification into, with a net zero climate action plan you have.
so we've been spending money like there's no tomorrow in the town. We have huge
Yeah.
debt that just keeps piling up, so this is another maybe 10 million or more, and then another 10 million, which is significant. We have some of the best performing schools in the state. I'm in the hockey business. I like to say with my teams, does this help us win?
Right.
Doing whatever we're gonna do, does it help us win, or our players get better or move on to better places? Our schools are doing great, and if we have maybe 5 years left at the high school, okay, great, and maybe more time at the middle school. I'm wondering, from a financial standpoint, how do we pay for all this with the debt that we have? I get it, you might be warm in class, but
Well, we're in this situation because the town has said they want an environmentally correct number, right?
well, we're in this situation because we do need to make a decision
But
on the high school, as they said, in the next 0 to 5 years. And it's a question of which direction do you make the next 25, 30-year decision to stay in kind or to move to the next generation of, green air source or geothermal? That is a committee decision.
sorry, and how long does, let's say we do the middle option? At both middle school and high, how long do those systems, is the shelf life longer than?
The well field itself, the ground piping will last at least 50 years. The equipment within the building is 20 to 25 years, like a typical mechanical
Almost
system would be.
similar.
So it's not wildly different than a
Yeah.
traditional mechanical
What's
system.
I assume the stuff in the ground, the pipes.
The pipes, mhm.
Is that more expensive than the equipment that will need to be replaced in, like?
Correct.
of the 10
Yeah, that's the
million?
sunk asset is what's in the ground. That's where the most money goes, is that pipe, and you put that
Okay, So
in.
of the 11.2 million, 8 million is in the ground? mean,
I think it's like
four to five.
4 to 5,
so
half of it.
So in
Mhm.
25 or 30 years, another 4 or 5 million.
Correct.
Just updating.
Correct.
And if we just replace with gas burning boilers like we're, like we would have done before all this,
Right.
what's our cost for that?
In the case of the middle school, it's $11 million. In the case of the, yeah, so.
Especially that first option
Yeah.
is not an option, because with the tax or
Yeah.
the rebates, you'll get the
Yeah.
better technology,
Right.
the better everything.
Which is why they exist, yes.
Right.
Yeah,
right,
correct.
right.
You want to go
But I think-
through
I think
the
the point- but I think the-
playbook slide?
Yeah, let's go to the
Yeah,
playbook.
we've got a timeline here that might help.
So this, we did want to point it into perspective of the mission path. The geothermal options basically get you to where you want to be between now and the next round of the school, of the town's path. So the town's path is there in the red, but we're talking about money. Let's get to the money slide. So there's a lot going on in this. Everything in below the line is costs. So that would be the high school well field. We're assuming that it would be done in multiple phases. The middle school happens, we show it in 2029. It does not need to happen in 2029. We're just trying to show you the perspectives. And then everything above that are the rebates back as when you're getting them. So the going above is, the first one is Hopkins Lower Middle School, ITC, and the Mass Save program, so that you're going to be getting multiple millions of dollars back there. The next one would be getting a rebate back from the high school ITC and the high school Mass Save program. And then in 2029, that's your biggest rebate coming back because of what will come back from the Charles Wood investment. So, you know, if it were me, maybe you wait until the Charles Wood investment comes back before you go after the middle school, because that's going to be the best.
And
or
the
the
numbers
biggest
at
thing.
the bottom, the numbers in parentheses
Are costs.
are the costs.
Yes.
And then the number on top is the tax credit.
Yes.
Right. So the middle school, though, if you just put it back into context, the middle school doesn't have the immediate need for renewal of systems. It's got plenty of life left on it. The question of the middle school is, do you want it air conditioned or not? So it comes to your, is that important to us or not for the middle school? So you can push that as far down the line as you want, because the boilers there are brand new. So there's no issue, as long as we maintain them, take care of them, you're fine for a long time. It's the high school that is really the decision point.
All the red boxes.
Correct.
And just for the committee's sake, you do not need to decide this tonight. So this is a presentation for you to ask as many questions.
Yeah.
Then I'll give you my little bit of the capital plan.
Yep.
It is at the next school committee meeting that you'll actually vote the capital plan, which would include some type of direction.
I do want to bring up two other points when we're talking about the timeline. There's a big MSBA ARP application that would be available to you in March of 2027 that would be dedicated to system renewals. It's primed for an application for the middle school. That system from MSBA is primed for that.
Middle school.
Accelerated repair program that MSB has in place for roofs, windows. It used to be for boilers. They did away with the boiler path and have changed it to electrification. It's a brand-new program where they're going to fund this. But you have to apply like a statement of interest like you did for Charles Wood to get a new school. It's the same kind of, so you can apply, you may not get it, but it's available in 2027 for you to apply for it.
What's the likelihood of getting it?
No idea.
No,
And
that's
there's not something like that available for the high school.
wild card.
Yeah, it's a wild
Only
card.
the middle school.
Because they're looking at the state and they're going to say, who's in the most need? And you guys are being ranked with everyone else who happened to apply, who you don't know who that even is till it all happens.
And would they look at current systems in the school?
Probably,
So it would be at
probably.
the bottom.
It would be harder, probably harder pressed because in the fact that the boilers are newer. It could
Yeah.
be a strike against you, I'm
Yeah.
sure, in their analysis.
I feel like we have not had great success with, because I know we've made other applications for things with the MSBA, other than buildings. We've
Yeah.
obviously been very fortunate with the
Yeah.
MSBA
Yeah.
with our building projects, but
Sure.
some of I know we had applied for boilers at one point and I think windows and a
You know,
few
I-
other things.
Well, I mean, even the building projects
Yeah.
were several
Many cycles,
applications.
yes.
Yeah.
So,
So
it is competitive.
I would say it's worth getting it together, doing it, because at some point you can recycle it and do it again when it makes more sense, because that's going to be something that the MSBA is, through that funding mechanism, they're pushing school districts such as yourself to get away from those fossil fuels, especially, and I think what will happen is the schools that have the oil burning will be the ones that get the first target, because that's even harder to deal with. So, I think you're going to be lower on the list is my guess, but it's worth applying and seeing what happens.
Sorry, how much is coming back from Charleswood and Hopkins in rebates?
17 and a half.
I have it somewhere.
Oh, no.
It's
That's-
about
that's all of it.
11.5 for Charleswood, and Hopkins Lower Middle, I feel like, is more than the 1.9 up
And
there.
those would be a year, 12 months after completion
Correct.
of the building.
Correct.
And I assume that is that money designated to just repay the town, or are we already counting on that money for anything?
Yeah, it would only go towards debt,
Go towards
either
that?
reducing
Yeah.
the debt ask or repayment.
Can I ask
Yeah.
regarding that money, my assumption is the town controls the money that comes back from the rebates.
Yes, the
And
town controls the debt.
that it would be harder to say we're earmarking this money.
Correct. Right.
To go for that.
We can make a recommendation,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
But you
Right,
can.
So 11 million coming back, we can't say, oh, hey, we want to use that to go front the high school.
But what the selling point to the town is that if you look at the emissions of buildings in the town of what you're trying to solve with your climate action plan is, it's all the schools. The emissions are the schools. So it's in their best interest to reinvest back into your infrastructure
I mean, I guess
to
the
make it
debt's
better.
whether we.
That's debt, right?
That's
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
swap-o, change-o, but still, it's in the town's best interest to solve their goals, to reinvest in schools, to reduce those numbers, if that is the goal.
So there was a question about timeline.
Yeah.
How
Yep.
far can we push it out? There is a timeline that I want you to know about. Is 2031, the federal program starts winding down. So you need to be acting on geothermal. If geothermal, which you've decided on twice already, is the path forward that you want to go, you want to act before 2031, because that's when it winds down.
Geothermal's the middle one, right?
Geothermal's the middle,
The
and
It's the better and best,
Yeah, better
yeah.
and best.
Yeah, that- I
The
mean,
recommended and the.
Yeah,
one
correct.
makes the most sense.
Correct.
yes. But
And in 2031, if we were getting 7 million back, it might vanish.
Correct.
Or be reduced.
Correct.
Right.
Is there any concern that the federal funds
good question.
could disappear
Yes.
because of different
Yeah.
priorities at the federal level and
So,
different availability?
We
of
follow this very closely, and it started in 2022. The new administration came in. Number 5 on their list of things that needed to be changes was to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act, which is what this is part of. And through the big, beautiful bill that was passed, they made a lot of changes to that. They pulled back all the EV charging, all electric cars, that all went away. Solar got very hard to go after for a tax credit. What they kept was 2 things. One is geothermal, and 2 is what they call direct pay, which is the program that you as a non-tax-paying entity can utilize to go after these credits.
Mechanism.
Yeah, so those 2
So those
things were
would be there.
kept.
Yeah, so I tell, again, who knows, right? It's hard to say what will happen, but I would say that when you look at all the turmoil that happened in the summertime and that somehow remained, it's got some pretty good legs under it, because that geothermal piece has significant bipartisan support across the entire United States. It's not just the blue guys and the red guys, it's everybody. Everybody has support for that. So is that a guarantee? No.
Another
Appreciate
point.
the perspective.
Yeah.
Sure.
And another point, it is in the tax code. It cannot be changed with executive order.
Right, so it would be a law that has to be changed. So we know how
Legislative.
difficult that is. We know, when Obamacare tried to get repealed, how difficult. It's just so hard to do any of that. So who knows? But it's a lot. It's going to take a lot of political
Very likely
capital.
it'll stay there.
Correct. I mean, do they want to waste their time on that? Probably not. But
Got it.
I think the only other thing, again, we're trying to find as many different funding streams to bring in there. We've got another program through DOER. I think it's the last one. It's called Green Communities. The town is already that, and there's a new program that would allow you all to submit over the next 2 years to get up to $500,000 for each of the projects. So, again, that's not nothing, but it's not covering everything, but we want to bring everything to the table. I think that we have a big timeline here of showing this is mainly focused on the high school, saying that it could be done over 2 years. We can schedule those implementation projects to meet the school schedules as needed but it's possible if you wanted to get started next summer that it could be done.
So we make a recommendation, and if we say yes, goes to a town vote.
Correct.
And the town votes yea or nay, and if they vote nay,
Move on.
he just stays warm and classy.
Go find something else to do.
Another factor is our school buildings are under budget at this point. That's something to watch.
Right.
By
Which
like
is
20
fabulous.
million-ish.
Yeah, the building projects so far are favorable.
I know we're
Right.
the very, very beginning. We were just bulldozing, but
Yeah.
if we hold off for a little bit, maybe.
I really like looking at these options, and I love the thought of being able to come in with a much greener, better system. I think students would universally love the cooling aspect of that, although I think probably strategically.
Can you poll the students
if
for
we
us?
go forward with this, I think we want to make sure that we're not selling this as a project to cool the schools down,
No.
because I think that would get a lot of backlash from the
Yeah.
town.
Yeah.
Very much.
Concerns that I have are to do with the large amounts of spending that have gone on in the town, that we just came from a select board meeting a couple nights ago, where the, looking at the percentage and the amount of money that could potentially not be coming to us next year. It looked like a very tight budget operationally for us, and while our capital budget is certainly a separate thing, I think the conversation exists as a whole. I think there is a large segment of our town that is concerned about both spending, taxes, and all of that. So I think
As they
we want
should
to make
be.
sure that we've done our due diligence, which we always do,
Yep.
to make sure that we can afford the project and that we can bring along what is the will of the voters.
We sliced and diced it a lot of different ways, and I know that we threw a bunch of different information at you in a short amount of time, but if there's a specific scenario that you would like to revisit and speak to Susan, and we're working with Susan to deliver a final report by November, but if there's like something that you all would want to key in on, let us know and we can give you
Then
all the
also,
data.
We have to do something about the high school boilers in the next 5 years.
Yes.
If we don't, there could be boiler
If
failure.
we don't, what happens?
I mean, it have to be repaired. So you're going to be spending money to repair them. Yeah, whatever, it's
Well,
emergency, like,
yeah,
oh my
but
God, we
we
got to
have
fix it,
broken
you'll figure
pipes
out a
if we
way.
have-
Yeah, there's 5 boilers there, so it's not like if one fails that the earth falls apart. So there's redundancy in that system, but they're just at the end of their life. And I think Susan and Tim have been putting in money for renewal of those systems, or considering that in your plans over, in your capital planning of the next 5 years anyway. So I think there's already plans placed to do something, so it's just a matter of, do we want to do this or do something different? So, but yes, it's not like the end of the world if a boiler breaks. Yeah.
But if
I
we
was
start
envisioning.
Yeah, if we start replacing the boilers, then
Correct. That's what
this
you want to be
change
careful
starts
about.
becoming
Right.
more.
You're investing into something that you don't want to, so it's like at the middle school, you got boilers that are 3 years old.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to tell you to tear those things out, even though they're gas fired, because they're brand new. I mean, you sunk $200,000 into that. Why would you want to throw that away? So you can choose to do that again at the high school, or we can do something different. I mean, repairs, whatever, that's not going to be a huge outlay, but a significant renewal, you're committing yourself to something that maybe you don't want to do. You may look back and go, ooh, that wasn't a great choice, but.
And I think that's a piece of what we want to be able to message. It would be to look at the risks versus the benefits.
Right.
The cost of, and potential cost of repairs.
Right.
Cost of what it would be to keep or replace in
Yeah.
kind versus the cost and the, feel good
Sure.
and do good for the environment piece
Sure.
of doing this, to look at this is something that has to be done. It's not something that it can wait
Right.
forever, or
Right.
we can invest a lot of money in repairing things that is
Well,
ultimately not going to
and
be.
what we're seeing all over the place is that, a lot of towns such as yourself has put these climate action plans in place. However, we still have to have the business case that supports doing the work. We're not just don't do it just to do it is not
Right.
really the philosophy anymore. So let's make sure we come up with a plan. If you're not comfortable with 10 million, then don't do it. If you can't get the voters to vote for it, then you won't do it. That's kind of where you're going to be at. We see that all over the place. This is not unique. Yeah.
All right.
So it was a lot of information, so I
Thank you.
apologize
That's
for
great.
that.
No,
but-
that's great.
We're here, we can have follow-up questions through Susan. We'll be happy. We can come back and talk some more, or whatever you need us to do, we're here to help, so.
Thank you. We
Thank you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Sorry to keep you so late.
No, it was information.
Stuck to
Good.
about an hour. Well done.
You can leave now.
Yes.
They didn't, when they voted, John, they didn't.
Sure. Come on up.
Or down.
Hi.
Can you introduce yourself?
Of course.
Thank you.
Yep. If we haven't met, I'm Jeff Rowland. I chair the Sustainable Green Committee.
I'm Nicole Simpson. I'm a member of the Sustainable Green Committee.
Yeah, we appreciate the thoughtfulness that went into the proposals and all of your questions, of course. So yes, the town has a net zero resolution. Thank you, Susan, for reading off the goals there. Yeah, they're lofty goals, right? But obviously, we want to approach these in a financially responsible way. I completely agree. Like, we're taxpayers as well. So it's great that the most efficient, most sustainable, greenest options also tend to be the lower cost as well. I love the alignment there. You had mentioned the green communities. Hopkinton is a member of that, and we've gotten hundreds of $1,000s in grants over the past decade plus that Hopkinton's been a member. We're also pursuing climate leaders, hopefully within the next year, and that's the next level above green communities. And that will open up the town to grants of potentially $1 million plus for projects such as these. So as we pursue that, that's another funding option that might be available.
That's great.
Yeah, and we'll have further conversations on that. The biggest hurdle we need to get to climate leaders is a ZEV policy, or zero emissions vehicles. And maybe it's better to let you give a quick overview of that. But
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. So to be a climate leader, I think there's 5 criteria. We've done 3 of them. One is well on its way and can be finished at any time. The hardest one was specialized code, which we did at town meeting, so that's already behind us. So ZEV is kind of the missing piece. And so that it has exclusions in it about some of the heavy duty vehicles. I mean, we're talking townwide, this isn't just about schools. And so there's some departments it would affect more than others, so that would have to be a decision made by the select board. So it is something we're pursuing and want to have conversations with the schools, and that's something, one of the items in the budget, the van is something we wanted to talk a little bit about. But if I could just add something about the buildings and the cooling, I know it kind of comes up as a nice to have, or the comfort of the students, or we didn't need that in the past. But there's a reason that we need it more now. There are more hot days. It does get hotter. It's not just like toughen up. It is actually a tougher environment to be in without cooling. So there is that reason to it. But if you accept the premise, at least for the high school, that you have to do something, whether that's next year or a few years from now, you have to make a choice. You're making a 20-year commitment on which system. And so if financially, upfront you have to do a little bit more, but within a year or two, you net the same place and even operationally are saving money, then for equivalent financial, you have huge savings on emissions. And looking at both parts of that, I think there's some clear winning decisions here. But you have to make the choice to do that, where if you have an emergency situation where you have to replace, it's harder to then go ahead and do a geothermal system on the spot versus just replace a unit. So that's why this planning and getting a little bit ahead of where you need to make that decision is a really nice thing. So I was really happy to see that presentation tonight. It was very impressive.
And on the warming weather point, we have a scary chart we could show you some other time. But essentially, by the end of this century, Hopkinton is predicted to have more than 2 months of the year above 90 degrees. So we're talking about a climate similar to,
Get rid
say,
of all the holidays, we'll redo the calendar,
Right.
everyone out of school in May.
so something similar to like what
And if we
Georgia
do
has today.
Saturday and Sundays,
No
it
problem.
might be earlier.
Sorry.
And we're going to have less of those 0-degree days, too.
See ya. Have a good one. All right, see ya.
I appreciate you guys being here. I also love that you guys follow so much of what we do and weigh in to help and support with us being able to make greener choices.
And I've been so impressed over the past couple of years of the choices that were made that, you know, these new schools are really exciting to see the technology that's there. It's really, you know, being among the leaders of the state. So that's really exciting. So I guess, not to keep switching back and forth, but on the vehicle, just to touch on that now as you go into your presentation about the budget, we did have some information about vans that look similar to what you're looking at needing for replacement, and there are electric options out there that, based on a website, showed some options that were very much within the budget. So I would just suggest considering that, and especially if we do move towards a ZEV policy, would be aligned with that. There are chargers coming in to, I think, all of the schools within the next year or so. So there will be charging infrastructure available at the schools. So it could be a really good option, and then in alignment with overall the direction we're going, so we can become a climate leader.
Yeah, I don't know if you've heard, but Julia Chun, the town's sustainability program manager, recently got a grant that's going to allow multi-chargers at all of the schools that aren't currently planning them, except Elmwood. We're not investing more there. The broken marathon chargers are going to get replaced. There will be chargers going in at the middle and the high school as well. So as you know, you might phase in electric van, there will be charging infrastructure there. That's getting paid through a state grant. And while we've got the mic, Julia and Susan are going to be applying to a fleet electrification planning program. This isn't committing to switching everything to electric. It's figuring out over the course of 6 months, what does our fleet look like? What does the cost structure and the ownership structure of the vehicles and the maintenance, and analyzing what would it take to go full electric in the future. It's another free program that we're happy to apply to and see where it goes. So happy to learn more. I'm sure we'll talk about that in the future.
Great.
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thanks.
For coming.
Sorry, I know y'all ready to go home, but
We still
the
got a lot.
point about the additive nature of cooling, like that's a nice to have. When you invest in heat pump technology, you get both. So the one system does both, whereas what you have now is you have boilers and you have chillers. When we invest in heat pump technology, the one thing does both. So if you buy it, you have it. So just keep that in mind. Don't feel like it's necessarily an ad. So,
Makes it an easier sell than.
correct. I mean, it's like, oh, you got it. So you just kind of get it by default.
Well, it would also be interesting to see data on health-related effects of our warm buildings.
There are a lot of studies about the cognitive ability and performance for indoor air quality. And the thermal comfort is one of 5 sections of indoor air quality, but the amount of CO2, other things that are in there that do perform learning environments.
I think you're going to see a lot more of a push for measuring indoor air quality moving forward as a standard operating procedure.
Which requires investment in more technology in the building.
Great. Thank you.
Do you want to see the rest of the capital plan?
All right.
Yes.
Got 50 more slides for you.
Jeff is going to put these up because for whatever reason I was not able to connect. So if you can go to the next slide, please. So basically what we do is take all the assets across the district and we have them in a replacement plan, and then I put them into summary buckets for you to see. The HVAC district-wide, you just saw the presentation, that is a direction that will be determined. We're looking at classroom equipment, building and grounds equipment, roof replacements, cafeteria, flooring, security, fire protection, parking lots, tennis court, the track and field, and system-wide technology upgrades. And you can see what that looks like in this first slide from 27 to 31, and in the next slide from 32 to 37. If you go to the next slide, this just gives you what that 10-year look ahead is. So again, we said the HVAC district-wide, we're going to determine that approach. For equipment, classroom furniture, in 27, we're looking for desks and chairs for the middle school. In 28, whiteboards, the wardrobes and shelving. The building and grounds equipment, vehicles, student services van in 27, tractor in 28, 2030, another student service van, 31, a maintenance truck and a tractor, 34, a maintenance truck and a utility vehicle, 35, the athletics van and a maintenance truck, and 36, a tractor. Flooring in 28, the middle school hallways, in 2030, the track in the high school athletic center. In 29, this is the middle school and high school roof replacement. And just as a point to this, that is when the PPA on those roofs for the solar expires. So when they peel those solar panels off, there are roof penetrations. So the roof being done in 29 is there's no wiggle room on that one. Cafeteria, the kitchen, we're looking at adding a dishwasher to the high school in 28 to get rid of the disposable trays, and a replacement of a steamer. In 2030, adding a dishwasher as well for middle school. Security, fire protection, and generator in 36, we'd be looking at the fire alarm and security system at the middle school. 37, the generator at the high school. Parking lot and campus paving in 34, looking at both the middle school and high school parking lots. Tennis court and basketball resurfacing in 2030 for the tennis courts, 2032 for the basketball courts. Track and field, we're looking at 2033. And technology for 27, we'll be looking for projectors, security upgrades, and radios. And you can see the rest of the technology going through the next couple years. So again, the focus for the meeting and for the committee is for just 2027. So again, for 2027, your end-of-life replacement is the vehicle, the technology, a question mark on the direction for the HVAC, and classroom equipment. So going to the first, the vehicle, this is the handicap van for the student services. This is used for the 18 to 22 program. And this vehicle is at end of life, and this is used to take students to vocational opportunities. And again, this van allows for a wheelchair. Technology covers the projector in the high school athletic center, security upgrades such as the video archiver and the building camera replacements, as well as the radio replacements in the buildings. And again, these are at end of life and for increased security. Classroom equipment, this request is to replace the desks and chairs in 25 middle school classrooms. Over time, the classrooms have been put together with random furniture to meet the increasing enrollment. This leads to furniture of different shapes and sizes, some with broken or missing pieces. These are one-unit pieces, and some students literally do not fit within these. And you can see from how these are grouped together, it makes collaboration for students challenging. And the HVAC district-wide, again, the options, replace in kind with added cooling, the air source heat pumps, geothermal water-to-water heat pumps, or geothermal distributed heat pumps. And we don't need to go to the next slides because it's just a repeat of what you just saw. Are there any questions on this piece?
Does the vehicle address a electric vehicle?
So there is room in that budget for an electric vehicle and for the installation of an EV charging. So we're still,
We might have free EV charging.
we might, but we don't know where it will be placed.
Do we have any say in where it's placed?
I would think.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see.
Okay.
Two down that road.
So, but there is room in the budget
We're trying to find any savings
for,
here.
for that option. So we're still researching. We have one bid right now so far.
Has there, I know that you have frequent conversations with our town partners. They are aware of the projects that we're looking at.
I told them that the capital plan was coming to you tonight.
Okay.
I don't like to share out before it comes before the committee. So I will share this with them tomorrow.
Separate question, but related to that, is the budget advisory group meeting?
It has not started.
I think that Tuesday night, they said there would be one.
They talked about it.
I'm just thinking it's a good place to start socializing some of the,
The HVAC stuff.
all of it, you know. You think,
I think this part of it, you know, the HVAC will be debt. I think these asks will fit in free cash.
okay.
Great.
My understanding is that the 18 to 22 program is expected to grow. What does that mean as far as looking at replacing this van?
So what the Director of Student Service is working with is just really making sure that we're optimizing the schedule of the vans. So there are two vans. There's this one that is the wheelchair access and another van. And just making sure that we utilize the vans to the best of, you know, you're scheduling those vocational opportunities appropriately to get the kids there.
Accommodate everyone.
Okay, so we're not at risk of like investing in a vehicle and then in 2 years, hey, it doesn't fit everyone. We're gonna get rid of it and get another one.
Well,
No, I think it's more the scheduling, like.
Yeah,
It's more just
Yeah.
working the schedules so that it's
Exactly.
serving the needs. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Great.
And again, this will come back to you at the next meeting for your vote, so this is your
I was gonna
opportunity
say,
for
do we need
questions.
to take a vote on this at this?
Not tonight.
Okay.
Track and field 3 and FY '33, is that going to make it?
We keep bumping it along. We're keeping an eye on it, and we're bumping it along, just being aware of, you know, the debt load. Right now, it's still in functioning shape, runnable shape, so.
I
yeah.
run weekly. The
Is that a word?
Runnable.
runnable, yes.
The classroom furniture expenditure in 2028 is a similar estimated cost. Is that also middle school?
It's also middle school. So it's, first, we're going to tackle getting desks and chairs in there. Then the year after is the whiteboards for the teaching wall. There are a lot of classrooms that have original built-ins that are wooden and they're over asbestos tile. So we would be pulling out those built-ins, remediating the asbestos, and then giving them furniture to replace how those are used.
And so that estimate includes the work needed to remove the asbestos tile and
So
mitigate.
the flooring and the remediation will be carried in the operating budget with Mr. Persons. So we'll be tackling flooring a little bit at a time.
Yeah.
We'll go after the rooms first that do not have that. And then in '28, we'll be going after these rooms. We did a couple already this summer, so we know what we're looking at. Kind of our test case.
Great.
Yeah.
And we're meeting again the select board budget message is going to be before we meet again.
Yeah, the Tuesday, yep, 7th, I believe. And we meet on the 9th.
That not be coming up.
No.
All right, I think we can move forward then. Thank you. Mr. Lebrad.
All right. Good evening, everybody. Tonight, I am before you requesting your acceptance
Thank you.
of the FY26 federal entitlement grants awarded to the Hopkinton Public Schools. In your packet, you can see the exact enumeration of what we have been awarded in titles 1, 2, 3, and 4. The grand total of all 4 of those entitlement grants is $183,238. You might recall that back on July 25th, I came before the committee to share with you the pause in the release of those funds. Incidentally, coincidentally, and I'm not saying I had a role in this, the next day they were released by the federal government. So clearly
Let us know if we need to schedule that again.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
were tuning in, but tonight I'm just asking you to approve Hopkinton's acceptance of that funding.
Sounds great.
I move that we accept the funding.
Yeah, move to accept the FY26 federal ESSA entitlement grants totaling $183,238. That's what you meant to say.
That's what you, is somebody going to second that?
Do you want to second
Sure.
There's 3 of us. All in favor?
that? Yes.
Any opposed? Great. Thank you very much. You have some more for us.
I do. The next one I am presenting tonight on behalf of Director of Student Services, Jessica Beatty. Similar request. This one is for your acceptance of the FY26 IDEA, or Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, Federal Entitlement Grants number 240 and 262, awarded to the Hopkinton Public Schools for a grand total of $1,021,247. And again, you can see the numeration of number 240 and 262 in your packet.
I move to accept the IDEA grants totaling $1,021,247.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Policies, Mr. Bishop.
Yes, policies. Okay. I think as we know, pursuant to school committee policy, we periodically review existing policies for updates. And tonight, we are reviewing 2 for first readings. The first is policy GBEBC, gifts to or between employees and the school committee. Again, this is for its first reading. It includes revisions suggested by MASC and the policy subcommittee on page 2 in your packet on that policy. And I think, as you know, no formal action is needed tonight. This is just a first reading. This is an opportunity for you as a committee to discuss the recommended revisions and to consider a vote in the future.
Great. Are there particular revisions that you would like to highlight?
I apologize, I've forgotten who's on the policy.
It's
Working.
Susan.
Yeah, I was going to say, either of you.
The added language is on the bottom of page 2, around raffles and games of chance.
Oh, okay.
So it's red line in there. That's the new language. And that, again, has been recommended by MASC.
Great. Thank you. And the other policy?
Yep, and the other, next policy and the second for this evening is BDA, which is the policy regarding the school committee organizational meetings. The proposed updates include the MASC suggestion of removing language regarding voting for a secretary and the subcommittee's recommendation for revisiting the process for nomination and voting for chair and vice chair. Again, no action is required today. Again, the school committee just has the opportunity to discuss and consider a vote in the future.
Unfortunately, I missed that meeting, and I'm not comfortable with the addition of language under number 1. So I guess I would like a rationale why we need that.
Yeah, it was something that when we were talking about it, I thought it would make sense to provide a formal moment to discuss for anyone to share perspectives on leadership needs or express interest, providing a short period of time for discussion versus a jump in the deep end, nominate, vote, click. Just to try to facilitate more of a full conversation versus a, like, jump in and vote. And the wording is certainly, I'm not married to that at all. But I thought that having that in there so that the expectation was available should members of the committee choose to engage in a conversation, it's there.
I have the wrong copy pulled up, so I'm
so too.
switching. Let me pull it up.
I guess there's a part of me that instinctively thinks, I don't know, does any other committee use that type of thing in their choices of, in their doing officers? Or is language pretty homogeneous between committees on?
I haven't looked at other committees.
Yeah, I'm
policies
wondering
on
Nancy's experience might.
So the select board does, and that's really the select board does it differently. I think we're unique in that we have the reorganization meeting is opened by the superintendent. My understanding from Connor when we discussed a couple of years ago is we're the only committee that does that. So it's a little bit different, and we call for nominations that way. My recollection of select board is that they don't have that piece in there, but that it is sometimes discussed as nominations are made, what particular, and there have been years where there's been more discussion at the school committee level, as well as other like the Commission on Disabilities, what I'm thinking of, that just reorganized. I can't speak to any of the others off the top of my head.
I personally would like to bring this back to committee, and I will be there this time if I have to skip treatments. Because I would like us to discuss it a little bit more.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
Sounds reasonable.
Great, okay, I can put that on the agenda.
Great.
Okay.
Intent to travel.
Excellent, okay, so.
Unfortunately, we don't get to go with the Model UN.
Model UN, so this is requesting intent to travel for our Model UN club, led by Savannah Histon, who is a history teacher at the high school. The trip is happening, it's in Boston, February 6th to the 8th, 2026. We've done this before. It's an annual conference. This year, we're looking to send 21 students, if possible, to attend the 2.5-day experience, and it provides students with an opportunity to debate relevant global issues in a professional, academically rigorous environment alongside peers across the United States. Historically, our students have done really, really well at this conference. It's been a big success. This club has tripled in numbers over the last few years, which has been exciting. So just looking for your approval on that overnight trip to Boston.
I move to approve the Model United Nations travel from February 6th to 8th, 2026.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
And,
Wonderful.
yep, next on the agenda is the Hopkins School Gift Account. We have received a check from Show Tix for You, a digital theater LEC company, in the amount of $294.54, representing ticket sales for the 5th grade talent show. So we are requesting approval to deposit these funds into the Hopkins School Gift Account. Looking for your approval on that.
I move to approve the check for $294.54 for the Hopkins School gift account.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great.
And then last, I recommend that the school committee approve the items by consensus as listed in your packet.
I move to approve the items by consensus.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Great. Anybody want to make a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn.
Wonderful.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for hanging in there for us, everyone, for a late night.
Did you get your homework done?
Oh, I have no homework, don't worry.
No homework. What's wrong?
I finished all of it before I came here.
Well, that means it wasn't enough.
Don't worry, I have
Okay,
a
my
macro
bedtime
test I have to study for, so
Oh.
that's what I'll look at when I get home.
Thank you, Ryan.
Of course, thank you guys, I appreciate this.
Did we set up a date for the next policy meeting?
Oh, I have these for Mr. Bishop.
Yep.
Yes, we don't want him to lose them. He'll get in trouble.
Yes, yes.
missed it. Are you adjourned?
We are adjourned.
Unless you're hoping we keep talking.